and somehow like this generation comes out of this circular thing, this alternate thing, the transcendent is born out of this. This would be, this would be the dialectic. This would be the thing.
No. Just a reminder, it's 9:20.
That's our song. Thank you, Steven. Synecdoche, New York, 2008. Tough year for the markets.
True.
New York.
So
it's crazy.
Tough year for markets, great year for movies.
Was it?
No
I don't
Country
know.
for Old Men and Sicario both. 2008, I believe.
Dang, Sicario 08 is crazy. I would have
That
thought
is
it was
crazy.
like 14.
I think it. No, yeah, it's ahead of the curve.
It's crazy that we're as far from the year 2000 as we are from Cleopatra.
Oh, I totally lied. Sicario is 2015.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
yeah.
was pretty close.
I think there was something else that came out.
What in the
same time,
fuck?
though.
Are you just thinking that because No Country and Sicario
are like the same.
Well, that's
are like
that's
Hold
literally
on,
the
is this
exact same?
podcast actually about neo-Western
That is
structure?
exactly why I thought that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. There was something else good that came out right next to No Country, and I don't remember what it was.
What we need to think about is the way that the location of the Western has become displaced with time, and how No Country for Old Men actually.
Was it Killing Them Softly or something? I
Killing
remember
Them
Obama
Softly.
was in
Ooh, that one's
movie.
about 08.
Yeah.
Or takes place during 08. What do we think about
You know
Killing
what
Them
else took
Softly?
place during 08?
What?
Lots of suicides, banker suicides, tons.
Love them.
Lots of people killed themselves in 2008.
Is that good or bad?
I don't
Yeah,
know
Steven, what's your
if you're
take?
trying to fight the power.
You're trying to fight the power, or they were?
No, I said if you're trying to fight the power,
Uh-huh. Then that's a dub.
you might want to think about it. I
For
don't
me,
know.
that's an L.
probably, yeah. It's probably an L for the world.
I disavow Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. You guys
All right,
really have a
Synecdoche, New
crush?
York. Huh?
I avow the actions of the people who brought Harvey Weinstein to justice.
So based. So based.
Yeah.
So true. All right, Synecdoche, New York. It needs to be said that I have a tumultuous relationship with this film, and it was hard. It's hard, I watched it in high school, fell in love, baby's first love. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Da, da, da. So I didn't watch it for a long time, and then I rewatched it for the pod.
How long
had
ago,
you-
How long ago was the last time
Yeah.
you watched it? Like what?
I think I must have been obsessed with it like senior year of high school.
And you hadn't
wow,
watched it
At
since?
that, yeah, and at that time, I must have seen
Wow.
it like 50 times.
Yeah,
So
you-
honestly, it kind of made it really hard to watch even this time because the whole time I'm just noticing everything because I'm so like run
Yeah.
through on it. I kind of know everything about this film.
Yeah. No, I can see why that would be a pain. I remember
But it's ultimately sorry.
I told someone that said they've seen it like 3 times. I said, well, that's just too many times. I was like, of course you want to watch it like once, twice, yes, okay. I don't know how many times we want to watch a movie, but I know that's not necessarily Troy's opinion. But
Wait, is that
I'm
a
not-
real take?
I don't know. It's not. It's a kind of a real take with Synecdoche, only in the sense what you're describing right now is that
Yeah.
once you've seen something a bajillion times, you've like kind of killed that thing incontrovertibly.
I have a question.
No, if it's good, it holds up.
So does that
Nah.
make me the only first timer here?
yes.
Am I the
mean,
am I the only one
I
who's
mean,
talked
I-
by Synecdoche Cherry?
I guess
Yep.
that's true, but I'd only seen it like 2 weeks ago or whatever.
That's
3 weeks
true.
ago.
That's true. Yeah.
Wait, that was the first time you had seen it?
Yeah.
But Steven and I
That is
are the
crazy.
freshest. We weren't
Yeah.
corrupted by youth watching it for the
Nope,
first time.
and not by 4chan.
This
Zero. Sorry.
This movie
Oh.
fucked me up in 2018.
18. So you were in
I
college.
was 37.
You were,
a young lad, a young lad, freshman in college, 37.
yeah. That's crazy. But you didn't like it the first time you watched it.
No.
but this time you loved it.
I was in a really bad headspace when I watched this for the first time. It was like the worst couple months of my life.
Oh wait.
And I was like, oh, I guess I'll put this flick on because a lot of people online rant and rave about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like kicking someone while they're down. And I just had a terrible time watching it. And yeah, and I just hated it.
Well, I had a terrible time watching it too. Slash positive / good edition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, well, especially the first half. The first half fucked me up, dude. I was not having a good time. I did something very sacrilegious. Troy's gonna kill me. Troy's gonna say we have to stop the pod right now because
Stop the pod. I don't even want to hear it.
Because I, like, part way through the movie, I was only like 30-40 minutes in. I had to pause it and like stand up, right? And
That's totally fine.
And then
You can't do that.
And then ironically, I went and I started cleaning my room because I was so anxious, right? After watching this movie. And then I came to resume, and then here he is cleaning his house with a toothbrush.
Yeah, that's what I say. You went and
Yeah,
scrubbed
and then so
this
this really got me all juiced up. This was really a literal me moment, you know. Never before could anybody ever feel as connected with the film as I could have been. Imagine you're sitting in the theaters. You feel anxious, right? You can't stand up. It's the movie's going. You got to keep going. Only at my house can I stand up, clean my room, pause it, see literally me right there 10 minutes ago.
Brody is clearly unaware that at the premiere at Cannes Film Festival, everyone made the projectionist stop it so they could clean the theater.
Yeah.
Yes. And they gave everyone a toothbrush to help out.
Yeah, complimentary tooth. Charlie Kaufman was standing there with a bowl of toothbrushes, and you're like, "Trust me, you're gonna need it."
In the cup holder, there's just this toothbrush, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, what the fuck?
And then all the people playing them too also had to grab a toothbrush.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Unironic triumph of Troy's attitude because, you know, there's nothing wrong with what you did. Maybe you paused a little too long, but the real story here is you couldn't have done this if you were seeing it with someone else. And you probably wouldn't even have been compelled to do it. And everyone should know watching a movie with someone else is pure evil and against God.
So we're not going to address that, but we're going to agree that Brody's experience was unique and important.
Yes.
That is exactly what I'd hope.
Yeah, there we go. Good.
Amplify.
We're gonna move past that one.
But anyway, so this was my second viewing, and this time around, I enjoyed it a lot more, and it made me realize some things about myself.
Yes. Like, whoa, what'd you learn?
Well, I learned that I have been Caden in my, at certain points.
Yes.
Oh, in what way?
Just that sort of angst and sort of OCD self-obsession, especially like the first 40 minutes where like he's just sort of ping-balling around all of the different doctors and specialists, and he's like obviously so fucking anxious, but he can't express it to anyone. I felt that way before. I don't know. Do you think he's? I mean, he's just. It's very hard for him to communicate with people, and he's just like wrapped up in all these different. I don't know if you'd call them delusions, but it's just crazy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like it depends on how you see. I mean, I don't know if it's like the same thing as like when you're watching a David Lynch movie where it's like to agonize over whether what you're seeing is like a projection of the character or whether it's like actually happening, quote unquote, like doesn't matter, but like, yeah, I mean, I feel like his ailments and in at least in the way that they plague him as a reminder that he's going to die, like that's real, like that's like, I don't know. That's definitely actually happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's literally destined to die.
Right.
Just like all of us.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hoffman.
And genuinely,
dude, it's for real.
Of course,
Phil.
the fact, to bring up Lynch or something is kind of interesting. This whole like the idea of the projection of the interior state. Is that what's going on? Am I witnessing, like Jacob said, a delusion, or is this like, is he actually sick? I mean, ultimately, you know, he is sick. I mean, he does die from, you know, a neurodegenerative illness of some kind or something or other.
He gets pretty old.
He gets pretty old, true, but
He wasted a lot of time being worried.
Yeah, so
do not go to the doctor.
But in a way, it's like, is that what killed him? You know, well, who knows? But yeah, I mean, definitely to dust, right?
For sure. I couldn't agree more. On the anxiety note, shout out to Hoffman, great performance, and as it's not even cringe. I won't be like that. That's cringe. But an incredible portrayal of anxiety without actually talking about it, really.
True.
Like,
Yes.
you know, Reddit / everyone goes nuts when a show or a movie has a panic attack in it, and it's like pretty much always cringe. Ted Lasso, but
I can't breathe, Karen. I can't breathe.
I'm sick.
Don't you see?
I'm sick.
I'm sick. His unspoken
I'm
anxiety
sick.
in the movie is very, very well done. His face
Yes.
looks like it's gonna fucking explode like all the time.
Dude,
It's so awesome.
He actually does such a great
Yeah,
job.
he really-
He's so
I
good,
feel like-
Rip.
Yeah, I feel like every just he's so he makes you so uncomfortable. Anytime he like starts like convulsing or like you can see something's like wrong. Like I feel like the part that was like the worst, like hardest to watch, like in that respect of just this kind of like thing where you're watching somebody do something that's just so uncomfortable. It's like when his legs start shaking, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when he like goes and talks to Hazel, and it's like literally like they've been separated for whatever, you know, and then she tells him she has a kid and like this guy, and then that's when he like goes to kill himself, and it's like it really was. I feel like that was so well set up with the like leg shaking being so I don't know, so uncomfortable and making that scene so much worse that when he does kill himself, it's like you almost like understand it. You're like that
You're
makes
talking about when
sense.
he attempts it, right?
Yeah, when he attempts it, not when
But he didn't jump. He
Not
didn't
Sammy.
jump.
Right.
he didn't jump. What are you making a joke? I don't understand.
No, making
Yeah,
a reference to
a
when
reference.
Sammy does jump.
Yeah,
Caden yells, "I didn't jump!
I didn't jump!"
Yeah.
Sammy."
That's not
Yeah.
right, Sammy.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Caden, what's the take on his last name being,
Guitard.
Whoa, hold on. You might need to bleep that out.
You mean like Godard?
You mean like? Does it? I was gonna look up the etymology of that. Does it translate from some like? Does it mean like gutless or something?
Well, there's
Gutless.
Cotard syndrome, which is walking corpse syndrome. It's a rare
Mhm.
mental disorder in which the affected
Mhm.
person holds a delusion that they are dead.
I like how
Let me
you
tell
knew that. I like how you knew that, and you like just like held it
Yeah.
back. Like you
Yeah.
were so.
I
Like,
didn't know that.
quietly.
That
You
that
just
didn't
were trying
register
to
to
make
me
me
at
look
all.
like a
No,
fool.
now that Troy looked that up and told me,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember looking that up like 5 days ago or something.
I remember looking it up like 5 seconds after I finished the movie. But my real point was Elsmore's was the original Elsmore. What Elsmore's response
What about a
was. I was
delicate
looking for
art?
Something more like that.
What about a delicate art?
Oh, I like that. Very small.
Adele,
nimble.
Is it
Adele,
an anagram
Adele.
for anything?
Adele,
Adele?
Codard.
Oh, I did not think of that. That's
Adele
actually.
Cotard?
That's actually
Well, that's
not
the
bad.
whole thing. So
She
the
does
movie,
produce Delicate
obviously, the movie is named Synecdoche, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And throughout the film, there's all these moments where Caden hears someone say one thing that sounds exactly like something else.
Yeah,
And then there's the sequence with his daughter where he's like, "Oh, psychosis and psychosis, one spell with a PS or bing bow," you know. So I don't know. Can we unpack that a little bit? Is there something going on here with like reality and theater? Something Synecdoche, New York.
yeah.
Well,
because,
I think
Maybe now
look,
listen. Someone tell us what Synecdoche means.
Synecdoche.
Troy, I think
is
you got it.
when
Oh,
Yeah,
John, I think you got it.
I
It's a
mean,
figure-
if I can. Yeah, never mind. Troy got it.
It's a figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole or vice versa. For example, referring to a car as, "Oh, I just got a new set of wheels."
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting because I feel like I feel like it's in reference to, not because when I actually first watched this movie like a long time ago, I thought Synecdoche meant like contained within the part is the whole in some kind of more like rather than it being more referential, where it's like the new set of wheels. It's like, you know, linguistically it contains the whole, but only through like reference to the word car or something like that. But which I feel like with theater as being like, you know, the part of the referring to the whole is kind of interesting, because it's like, it's not so much like saying like, you know, this one person contains everything or something like that, but it's more so like this one person like refers to everyone, which like suggests like a universality about their single experience or something like that, right?
Yeah, it sounds totally fair, and it goes along with the kind of like idea of, oh, all these people each individually living the life but together form this grand play. And I wasn't sure if when characters espouse that idea, if it was meant to be trite or not.
I think there's moments when like the like so I watched this movie on Sunday, and I today is now Thursday, and so I skimmed through the movie and like right before recording, and like that was one of the scenes that I kind of stopped at and watched was when he first gets the MacArthur grant, and he sits down with like the cast or whatever and starts like explaining what he wants to do, and then he has Claire, like the person he ends up marrying or whatever, like his like kind of,
God, I love her.
yeah, she's so good, dude. There's too many good things, but the
God, I love her so much.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, Claire being her his like this woman who's like in all of his plays and stuff. She's like, as he's saying what he's saying about what you're saying,
Death.
but yeah, he's saying like death or whatever, and he's like barely getting it out of his mouth, you know, he's like shaking like as he's like saying it, and she's just like, brilliant, like it's incredible, it's beautiful, and it's like obviously,
She says it's everything.
yeah, and it's like obviously like trivializing his point by, it's like clear that she doesn't
Get it.
like, she's not actually engaging with it. It's like still within the frame of like theater or something, not like where and I think that there's lots of moments like that where like he says this thing, something kind of, you know, talking about the something that is like, when said, like obviously is trite in some way, but when he's saying it, it's like the most sincere someone can express something like that, and it being, you know, a true thing, you know, and it like mattering, and then somebody reacting to it like immediately bringing it inside some kind of other social context that isn't him like literally dying, you know, and then it like becoming obviously trite, you know, like does
Yeah, there are multiple cases of it, although I just want to quickly note that I actually think that, well, I think you said it best, that he is extremely sincere, but I think that the film thinks that his idea is still trite.
I wanted to just hop in real fast.
I don't think that
and
at all.
Break up this conversation.
Wait, let's go Steven and then Jacob.
Thank you.
John,
you're not allowed to talk.
I think well,
John has been ejected from the podcast.
We've
been
placed a gag
surrounded.
order.
Gag order.
I think that the ending is so powerful and non-pessimistic that anything that could be said that the film, you know, Troy said that the film is trying to claim that it's trite, but he is saying it with, but you know, what's his name, Cotard is saying it with earnesty, but that the film is trying to posit his earnesty as trite. I think that's all disintegrated in how powerful, earnest, and sincere even the trite point that the film carries at the end. You know, when he's sitting down and he just wants, you know, he's like, even he says, he's wandering through the play or whatever, you know, and it's all gone through like this apocalyptic breakdown. He's near death. It's super beautiful, so powerful. He's sitting down and he puts his, you know, head on the woman's shoulder and he wants to take a second, and it fades to white in an almost heavenly sense. I think this is not an ironic joke at all. This is literally the transcendent. This is not pessimistic either. This is, yeah. And the film knows that, and it wants to posit everything as having been transcendent.
Can I respond to it? Oh, go ahead.
I don't. Whoever.
Jacob, you just
Brody
can't.
is
But
already-
Jacob. Okay, but Brody needs to reestablish.
Brody's
That
established
Jacob
the
can't
law.
just fuck this up.
Well, no.
Just
So
hold your idea in your head like a normal.
Well, Jacob, is the thing that you want to say relevant to the everything?
Yes.
Okay, then go
it's
ahead,
relevant
then
to the
Jacob.
everything. Well,
Well, hold on a second.
I was
Maybe-
to tell you it fucking everyone had derailed my fucking train of thought over here. Anyway. So, no, I agree at points, like with Claire responding to his like monologue or whatever. It felt like not necessarily making fun of him and his point as like trite and vapid, but just like as a sort of satirization or pointing fun at maybe like people who engage in like critical analysis or something. Because like she does that a couple times, like when they're at the bar. She responds to him and like she starts finishing his sentences and being like, well, you know, the first step to knowing is knowing that you don't know. And like she's doing all this like artsy sort of analysis that maybe is trying to be poked fun at as like they're kind of circumventing the like experience to just kind of shoehorn in some sort of critique or explanation and thereby like not like really engage with the emotions or whatever, right? Because like nobody, I mean, in this case, Claire doesn't want to like dwell on like the thought that like death is inevitable, etc., etc. So she's just kind of like substituting for like these sort of surface level analysis points to like, I don't know, to try to eschew the issue. That was my first thought.
That is actually a good point. Yeah,
I
that's kind
also-
of why she bails from the project. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agreed that it's kind of like I was getting optimistic vibes as well on the second watch. First watch, I was total pessimist.
Mhm.
Second watch, I was feeling the love, especially. Well, there's I guess what you already described with like the fade to white and everything, and that definitely felt optimistic. But then there was also I'd looked up once Hazel dies and there's the replacement for her. The replacement for her is like a guy or something, or maybe a woman,
It's a guy.
bush-looking woman.
It's a
guy.
man, yeah.
And for a sec, I don't know what Charlie Kaufman. I didn't know what Charlie Kaufman looked like. So I'm like, is that him? Like, is the director now sitting in on the scenes and he's being like? I thought it was a meta thing. There's gonna be some like crazy meta thing about like, oh, the director of the film is now in the scene, filling the spot of Hazel, but it wasn't. It wasn't him. It was some other thing. But anyway, the real point I'm trying to say,
He should have
is
done that though.
this character.
God no.
This character was in the scene when Ellen was auditioning to be Caden, and she was explaining, like, who he is, and then the replacement assistant was just like, "Well, I wasn't getting that at all. I thought this was like, I was getting optimistic feelings. I thought we were like on the upswing." And that might be a sort of rare case of maybe like a director voice. This is my message. And I thought that also because I thought it was the director, but it wasn't. So that theory might as well go
That's
out the
interesting
window.
because I usually I felt throughout the film that like I never felt like the film was. I felt like the world that Caden is inside of, you know, belittles him and, you know, is obviously horrible in this way and that way, but that like at any point the film still is taking Caden seriously and like on Caden's side. That doesn't mean that it necessarily like he never says anything that like the film ultimately doesn't you know, like agree with or something like this. Obviously this is so abstract because it's like, what does the film agree with or don't agree with? But yeah, I never felt like I never felt like there was like an insert of someone else saying something that was like a director insert, you know, with like a voice. Unless, I mean, I don't know, maybe Troy is thinking of something. He's raising
100% is. Opening lines of the film is a radio broadcast wherein a woman reads a very sad poem, something along the lines of, "For all those who are alone, you will always be alone. For those who are dying, you will die. For those who are sad, you'll always be sad." Radio, the host of the show says, "Wow, isn't that brutal?" And she says, "Yes, but it's beautiful, no?" I think,
yeah,
pretty
well,
classic.
Yeah, it's fair.
I just didn't know.
I wanted to say that earlier. I was talking about the connection between Synecdoche and these different psychosis, and I misspoke. I was referring to homophones, not Synecdoches. But whatever.
But Synecdoche is an example of the misunderstanding you're describing. Where two words.
I might have been accidentally.
No, well, the only
correct,
example of
but
psychosis is the homophone, but throughout the film, there are words that are tied very close together.
Can we, in terms of Synecdoche, I want to point out a few different levels, and also think about how this whole thing is Hegel's concept of the absolute. I mean that, but it'd be difficult for me to explain that, but because I don't know it well enough, but I will try. Just, you know, but at least for the Synecdoche thing, you know, we have the biosystem, the bioorganism, as being in a sense Synecdoche for the total human person of Caden. So Caden is not just the conscious human experience of Caden. He's all like the bioorganism is an exemplar of him. So like his scabs are as much him as he is himself, because they're in a Synecdoche wise, and they take on a metonymy for his like actual neuroticism and extreme self-reflection at all times and self-awareness, anxiety, etc. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course he's doing his whole like gulping, etc. So he has all these biofeedback things going on and training stuff that's trying to lead towards these are acting towards his consciousness. So this is Synecdoche from his bio to his we'll call it consciousness, even though of course I mean unconscious and everything else, whatever. And then we have his consciousness / the plurality of all people's consciousnesses recognized in the thing with the apartments, where it's like, look at all these people being themselves and living their own lives, that these are operating as individual consciousnesses. And though it's a trite thing to observe, it's something you can imagine, you know, a Tumblr post being about, and it's like, just, you know, I go people watching, you know, like vibes where it's like they sit on the park bench. Though it's trite, it really is true that all these particular consciousnesses are reference, or they are they give rise to the total of consciousness par excellence or something, right? Consciousness itself, or experience, however you want to, whatever word you choose to think about. You could call it God, whatever, the absolute. That there is somehow, I think, the film takes on a position where self-consciousness, in its death, in its disintegration with Caden, doesn't just dissolve into dust in a terrible sense, like a materialistic sense, like, oh, there's nothing or whatever after you die. Instead, it does seem to strike a chord with the transcendent when it fades to white, and you feel like it's not just for nothing. It's like consciousness has liberated itself, and it's like Caden gets to die in the sense that there's a movement towards greater consciousness. One image I would connect it to is the image in 2001 Space Odyssey when you have the space baby, or another image that might be better. We'll just go with that one. Ooh. But just in general, how, there's this guy Peter Teilhard de Chardin in Point Omega, the novel by Don DeLillo.
Peter Thiel?
now Teilhard de Chardin. He's a Jesuit priest, I think. But he talked about he's the guy who said we have the geosphere, the biosphere, then the or the lithosphere, the biosphere, then the noosphere, which is bio giving rise to thought itself. Thought itself, even though it's not existing in its most obvious material sense, it seems to be this thing, this emergent thing. It still exists. It has a being, right? So it's just this synecdoche moving up along the lines of the biosystem to Caden to the many plural conscious agents to consciousness itself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the transcendent that's posited at the end, is the transcendence of self-reflection that honestly can come about in a similar way to neuroticism. Neuroticism is pivotal just to show that. Okay, John, if you want to.
Well, I was gonna say that so in Caden's first, when he first gets everyone together, to start explaining like the work that they're going to be doing, he says something. He says something that is almost like word for word what you said somewhere in there about like he says something about like we're going to express thoughts, and together we're going to express like thoughts or something, and collectively they will become the work. And then he says, I will start, and then he says the thing about the thing that we're referencing earlier, that Claire whatever makes like trite, but the point being like that he said I think the point you're making, it's funny because I think he says it in like a more like it's like nested inside of a much more in like historically inside of like him being in this room with these people and trying to express it. So there's like obviously it's like this social anxiety. So he's not like and he's like trying to like discover the thought as he's like saying it, when he's saying like how they're going to create this theater piece or something. So it like can be made trivial or something in that respect. But the point being like the play itself or something, the work, which never, is never finished,
right.
Which I think is important with regards to what you're saying, is like could be thought of as like the same concept. And then also, sorry, one more quick thing, because you said it earlier about the fading to white and as opposed to like this the things crumbling to dust in some kind of materialistic sense. It was like the fact that the film does not linger after Caden's death. The film ends as Caden dies, which in a sense like it like follows him, as opposed to, which suggests that there is a following to be had, as opposed to he leaves behind, like the camera stays behind as he goes or something like that. But
I think that's a very interesting take, and I don't disagree. I actually think it's so unique. All right, what's up, Troy?
I'd like to present a couple observations related to both of your points, and I'd like to I want to hear you reincorporate it into the frame you're presenting. On the topic of the ending, it actually doesn't fade to white, but rather fades to a sort of off-white gray, and it is the same exact gray that the film fades in off of.
Yeah.
And notably, Adele comments on Caden's work when they're still together early in the film in a sort of kind of patronizing way, saying the end is built into the beginning.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And referencing the cyclical nature of the work Caden does. Mm-hmm. Also referenced by his production of Death of a Salesman with young actors.
Right.
And the clock.
Right.
Says 7:44. At the beginning, the opening shot is 7:44, and he dies 1 minute later. It's like,
oh, he does, yeah. Well, throughout that first scene of him just in the home doing breakfast and getting the girl out the door, I think like 6 months pass. I don't know if through all the noise and the radio and the newspaper he's reading, it starts like in spring, and then throughout that whole scene, you're getting different dates about what today is, and it's like Happy Halloween, oh it's winter, and blah 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 blah, and he opens a newspaper and it's like the next year and stuff like that. But I just wanted to quickly also say, I think related, and also I think I'm not total. I think it's actually totally along the lines of the same point you're making here, about the synecdoche of like the sort of like bio to thought and thought to transcendent or something. But to go way back to earlier about my trite commentary, I think Caden's verbalization of the idea, or Caden's manifestation of Caden's verbalization of the idea is trite to the idea in the same way that or the relationship there is the same as the relationship to like the transcendent phenomenon that the film seeks to produce and the film itself.
Right.
And Kaufman clearly aligns himself with Caden in a way that is a sort of neurotic self-awareness. And I think throughout the film is constantly presenting objections to the film that you're watching. But not fruitlessly like a lot of other films do, which is actually so fucking cringe. I hate when movies present objections to the film in the film unless they really deal with them sufficiently. Anyway, but I think throughout this film it presents objections.
Like that's the subject of the film, right? The subject of the film
has it's the subject of the film
fact that it's refuting itself.
Yeah, in like House of Jack Built and stuff like that. It's just a constant self-discussion of the film you're watching. Anyway, in the same way, Synecdoche constantly is presenting views against itself, but I think those manifestations are meant to be a sort of self-aware neuroticism off of Kaufman's end.
Yes. And they are literally how consciousness works. You know, consciousness is a reflective thing. So like we the whole idea, you know, is that we constantly circulate ideas and things like that and subject them to more and more reflection. You know, there's a pre-reflective consciousness or something, but once it's become reflection, the whole point is that consciousness operates on this circular reflection at all times. Like there's no way out of that.
Mine works differently.
Right.
No, I think you're totally right.
So I'm not even saying
you're
like
totally right,
neurotic,
but it mirrors the death anxiety. It's the same thing.
Well, so like neurotics are like they're just doing it more exemplary. You know.
What do you mean, you people?
So neurotics are like that. Like it's really clear, and that's why Caden is meant to be that way. But I think consciousness always works like this in people. Like that's what like a reflective consciousness is. The word reflective to be like emphasized here. Like reflective literally has within it like a mirroring and an endlessness to it. And it makes sense why you would mention the beginning and the ending being a fade to gray. Also, you know, I memed at the very beginning of the podcast, you know, dust to dust. So there is a dust to dust idea going on here, but the dust to dust just doesn't serve a purely materialistic thing like, oh, and then it all ends, so you better cherish it while you have it. I don't think it's quite right.
It's from high up to down to high up again, rather.
Yeah, it's like things get to transcend in the end, you know, like and it like is the beginning, you know, and somehow like this generation comes out of this circular thing, this alternate thing, the transcendent is born out of this. This would be, you know, this would be the dialectic. This would be the thing. This would be the thing coming out of this kind of endless, you know, mediation within itself. You know, the reflective. This would be the absolute. You know, whatever.
And even though you weren't referencing directly the cyclical nature of the ending of both it and 2001, which is also very much a film about like the mechanisms of progress and like the dialectic of technology or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, ending on the superhuman, the space baby, and starting on primitive ape.
But there's obviously
I can't fucking wait to die.
But obviously, but the important
terrified for the middle of my life.
But the important point is that it just doesn't just repeat, right? It's that we as viewers understand that there's a transcendent thing going on here that's beyond just the circularity. There's this extra, this surplus that is being created, and that is what gives this film an affective, virtuous quality. That's the thing that we're you know, and I don't think that's just an illusion. That's like something else.
Well, even as
I think it's in the same. Go ahead.
I was just say, even like the viewer's experience, like, you know, you do end up in the same place in some respect. You know, you could even like say, like, even your life materially is exactly the same, more or less, as it was when you started the film. you know, but like if you find the film meaningful in any respect, it's like you do end up in the quote unquote same place, but like experientially, like, you know, there's like there's value added. Yeah.
And it's pure thought.
So true.
Like the value added is just experience and thought. It's and all I mean by that is not that it's in your brain and it doesn't exist. I mean, it literally exists differently than the material. You know, it somehow has this other thing going on. All right.
Yeah, and the differentiation between the phenomenon and like the creative manifestation of like an attempt to communicate it is the same thing I'm talking about with like, I think Caden's verbalization of his thought, right? Like being like,
yeah, you're right.
We're all going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. You're going to die. Just like this person on the edge of death, you are exactly that, right? Like time is, who cares, you know? Like this idea is so real, so true, but it's so trite, you know?
Yeah,
like his his verbalization of it is trite, but the phenomenon he's discussing is so real. Just like the film itself is like a sort of a clever, self-obsessed, over-sophisticated, you know, thing, you know, but it is still a totally earnest attempt and successfully references the true, real phenomenon.
I feel like the earnest attempt is the biggest point in there, where it's like the difference between like Caden saying that and say Claire, you know, essentially saying the same thing by agreeing with him and saying it's like it's incredible, you know, is that like he is in some ways in contact, or you know, it may, I mean, I don't know, however you want to call it, within he's in a state wherein that is like real to him. What he's trying to describe, you know, and what he's trying to give words to is he like knows is very real, and that the issue is, and that like, you know, he and you know, like throughout the play, you know, he's like still directing the play until the end of the movie, you know, where it's like he's still trying to fix it and trying to express it, you know. It's like it's kind of essentially what he says in that first meeting with the players is the same thing that he's trying to say throughout the entire thing, up until the point that he has literally like a New York inside of a New York inside of a New York or whatever. New York. And that it's like the expression is like always imperfect or whatever, in like trying to but it's the aspiration, but he is like in contact with it in some way, you know, like
I think I know how to do the podcast now.
Troy, I can see what you've just looked up on your screen, and it immediately I remembered this, but I also Googled it for proof. So you're looking up Caden, right?
Yeah, we got Caden is the Gaelic form of Adam.
Well,
Hazel.
Yes, but let's just point out ground, earth.
Oh, ground, earth.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be known.
Okay.
We have Hazel. All the women in his life.
Wait.
We have Hazel. We have Claire, aka Clear. Go ahead, sorry.
That Ard is an ancient form of the word earth as well, and ground. Kotard,
that's
Kodard,
epic.
Kodard. I don't know what
There's a syndrome for people who think they're dead, and etymologically. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Etymologically,
it's tied to the earth. Very cool.
Earth to earth.
There's very much a sense of earth to earth.
Dust to dust.
You know, dust to dust. You're so right, Steven.
Can I
suck your dick?
Can I
What the
segue
fuck?
into something less interesting?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Can I go get another drink? But I'll wait. I want to hear
Alright.
your thought, and then I'm gonna get another drink.
Well, there's sort of an elephant in the warehouse, or there's sort of a
Elephants
in
on
the
stage.
giant in the
There's
place
an
where they
elephant in
used
New
to
York.
have plays.
there's sort
In
of
the circus.
Shakespeare.
There's an elephant in Synecdoche, New York, that we're not addressing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's the angle with all the dystopia stuff as the film progresses, where they exit the warehouse and it's just like,
True. That
sort of
honestly is the
like
thing
extreme, like
Like,
like
howitzers,
anarcho
bombs.
tyranny.
point-
Yeah.
At one point, he refers to the population of the Earth as being 13 million, like
Right.
near the end. Like,
Yeah. And hold on, let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
sorry.
Is the implication that his production has become so large that it's sort of engulfed the entire world's economy, and like everyone is sort of roped into this production, or What's going on there?
I think, one, the 13 million number is a reference to people in his play and not the whole Earth. Two, I think you're right, Elsmore. I think especially at the end, I think the implication is,
You're wrong. He literally, like, the point of the 13 million thing is that he's talking about, imagine the play has no boundaries and everybody in the world is, unless you're saying that
I'm thinking
he's
that
so
he's in
inside
his
his
world.
own world that he's like now like referring to the world as in.
Which I
That's
thought
what
was
I was
awesome.
thinking.
All the moments. Sorry, as a quick like aside, I thought it was awesome as like the production got so insane that like they're having conversations during like a scene and like you don't know what's supposed to be a part of the play dialogue and like what's real.
Mhm.
Yeah, like when him and Claire have that argument, and then they like it cuts,
Mhm.
and they're having the argument still, but then they're in the stage.
Anyway.
I was taking it more to mean like him was saying like the whole world, like he was gonna simulate the whole world basically. But I think you're right, Elsmore, that the play has become such a massive operation that inevitably politics come into play. But I like the way the film essentially dismisses it as unimportant or not worth investigation. Although throughout the film, as you know who I am. I liked the whole in general government bad take, which that's like I think the least investigated thing on my end, because like even when he's before the play has reached cosmic proportion, when he's out in the real world and like time goes on, you have like these weird like government drone ships flying around. It's kind of spooky.
The blimps.
And then also like the obvious connections between like all of his medical experiences mirror that of like the trials relationship to government. And like they're all like these, they're all, hold on, wait for it, Kafka-esque like pseudo government institutions and stuff like that. So I like government bad.
Yeah. Well, it's just I liked it as well because it fed into this. Aside from you have like on the one hand you have the sort of Kafka-esque stuff, the dystopia, the anarcho-tyranny as the play progresses to become like larger and larger. But then on the other end, like I had sort of liked to imagine that the play became like a genuine sort of a place of safety, that like people were flocking towards and they were like choosing voluntarily to live inside of the play to escape.
Yeah, people begging to be let in.
When are they going to let us?
The anarchy on the outside.
Watch the play. Like when is it going to be ready so I can
and, like,
watch it? We're dying out here. I think that's literally like somebody says that. Like
right. People are. It's like chaos outside. People want to be let in. People want to voluntarily, I don't know, maybe be cast or maybe be a part of this simulacrum. People are begging. People are banging at the doors of Plato's cave to be let in. Like
so true.
And it could anyway.
Who would you play?
I like that
Ellen, dude.
Probably some fucking Chad.
Sammy, you get to die.
Are we gonna discuss? Speaking of Ellen and the fact that Cotard's physical body dies while he's role playing as Ellen.
Yeah.
Do we want to pause while we get?
No,
Steven
go.
A drink? Okay.
No, go.
Steven. Yeah. Oh, we lost Steven.
Wait, I'm gonna also grab something.
Because I have...
Okay.
Mark the time.
Mark the time.
Mark the time. Because I've got to take about Ellen.
Dude, I want to golf so bad. Brody.
Hold on, I'm marking the time. You can't talk to me until I'm done marking the time.
Dude, I'm out of drink.
Don't talk to me until I've marked my time.
Okay. Yes, Troy.
I want you to know that right now, 10 minutes from my house, it is possible to play 9 holes for $5, and I've done so every day this week.
That's awesome. Respect.
And you are invited naturally.
Hell yes. I just need to.
It's a hell of a drive to play subpar golf for $5 and only 9 holes.
I will be attending.
That's crazy, dude.
Probably not this.
You're
not
fucking
this,
nuts.
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Someone crazy as you, I don't want to golf with. You're scaring me.
You're making me really uncomfortable right now, bro.
You're making me really uncomfortable, and I rescind my invitation.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the invitation to help move.
Oh, the invitation to help move what?
Details will come.
Okay.
But it's gonna be like next 2 weeks.
Wait.
Okay.
And the invitation is not. It's much more of an invitation than a request.
Yes. And
What is
Action.
going on?
Okay, what were we even talking about?
Everyone just lied to me.
You have to play a sound there, Brody, like a little sound. It can't just cut.
Sure.
Make it a fart
Oh,
noise.
also quick note
Those.
for the editor. What's his name? It ends with like a YUSH sound. Our overseas editor. Quick note for the editor: if you're listening to this, actually no, we'll talk about it later. It's a little too close to home. What were we even talking about, dude?
No, I was gonna say Ellen.
He's playing Ellen.
I gotta take it,
Ellen.
So Ellen. So okay. So back to this. The absolute.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying you just can't. I don't know about the absolute, but I mean, I feel like this is whatever. We're building. We're going. It's going on. So listen. So Caden, he has as we get closer and closer to kind of this like idea of like universality, I feel like the fact that like he becomes Ellen and Ellen becomes him suggests a certain and that you believe it, when you're watching, like you believe
cried.
it is, dude, it's insane. But the fact that you believe it suggests like the fact that he can become like her and she can become him alludes to and convinces you of like the universality, like because they're literally like could not be more different, in like many kind of like trivial senses, and also I mean like real like whatever materialistic senses, but they're switching and him dying while in the state of being her, and like him putting his head on the shoulder of his mom, who are like Ellen's mom, except as the person who's like playing his mom. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like it all
dream.
He gets
it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it convinces you of this universality of like experience or something by doing this, by having this like fungibility between the two.
Absolutely true. Love that. But also, so don't disagree at all. But also, there's all this like gay stuff going on. Literally.
Yeah.
Like he keeps getting called gay.
He's confused for a woman multiple times throughout the film.
Yeah.
and
What does that mean?
expresses
Does anyone want to...
He wants to be pretty.
I don't know what it means.
He always knew that he was Ellen.
Right. So
This is a transgender.
The TQ.
Well, then, and then also,
Wait, this is made by the
This was made by the
Wachowskis.
twins.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Matrix Resurrections? Because I feel like it's tied very closely to this movie in a lot of ways.
Which one's
you
Resurrections?
guys
Is
are
a new one,
afraid
right?
to talk about. Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
wait, hold on.
I've seen
Are
one
we
through three
actually
times.
not?
Keanu Reeves, if you guys notice, Keanu Reeves
Stephen
was
Stephen wants to
actually in a
stop.
couple
Listen,
screenwriters.
Hayden is obviously gay.
You think? Yeah, he could
No.
be.
I don't think he's
Well, he
obviously
literally
gay.
I think
he
it's-
lives in a closet.
I
He lives inside of a
so
closet.
true.
At the end.
Lives in a closet.
And then
is
he becomes
insanely...
a woman.
Yeah, it's actually true. He is. It is like the as he like becomes. I mean, yeah. He does.
True.
He does become Ellen in the end. But I don't
But
know. I
then-
don't know if you like. I don't know if you look at him like when he's like dying, like as Ellen. Like I don't know if like,
No, I'm 100%
he's more-
thinking it's him.
He's more him than
Yeah.
like he is Ellen or something. It's like you're kind of like. It's kind of like he. I don't actually think that there. I don't know how much. I mean, I think maybe there is some like interesting commentary or like insight to be made around like it having something to do. I mean, it does kind of nicely tie into the whole like homosexuality thing in some way, but I don't actually know. It feels. I feel like if it really was making that point, it would feel and look different in some way because I don't like really. Even though that comes to mind, I don't really feel it, I don't know. Steven's going to say something.
What if... Let me try and place this correctly.
Do your
A lot of
best.
cis white men in this room.
Oh, God. No, what if... So Ellen never... We never see Ellen.
The real Ellen.
Right.
They're
Real
like Ellen.
What?
Ellen is
No.
just a person who is expected to show up to
Yes.
clean
What?
to clean the home.
The first
Oh yeah,
Ellen.
yeah. Oh yeah. We
original
just see a
Ellen.
painting of who we think might be Ellen.
Yeah, and it's weird, and it's weirdly similar to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we never see Ellen.
True.
We only see a representation of Ellen.
Right, and what
in every respect, everyone involved.
Yeah.
Including the painting.
Yeah.
And we don't even know
Great
the painting
point.
is her. He
Wait a
might
minute,
just be skitzing.
hold on. Then who's the cleaning lady who plays him? That's Ellen.
She's an actress who has an audition to play Ellen,
Right.
and then she becomes in.
Okay.
But
You're
so,
right.
so whatever
we
you
do
do,
know the painting. We do know the painting is of Ellen.
but like OG materialistic Ellen is not,
The maid.
is not somebody.
The
I
body-
thought part of the joke was that he
the
was
body,
auditioning
the bio.
Ellen to play Ellen, and like the joke was that she was literally Ellen, yet she was being made to audition to play herself, and he had to like convince him.
Oh no, she's an actress.
Okay. All right. Yes. Clarified. Let's move on.
Stephen, go.
Fuck. Holy shit.
The body.
The body
We never
of Ellen.
see Ellen. We
The
never
bo-
see
the
Ellen.
body of Ellen. No,
That's a movie title.
Ellen without words.
the whole idea just all I'm trying to say is something like also what's her responsibility? It's to caretake the house. It's
Clean.
it's to clean, right?
She's like
And
a maid. She's help.
right, and you know, Codard's his cleaning compulsions are in many ways exemplars. I keep using that word. They're things that seem to mean.
Did you mean Templar?
Knights Templar.
That seem to mean, you know, in my mind, they are like the greatest. Just like neuroticism and self-consciousness, but made like reduced into more like bodily or something like that. So it's like consciousness now going downward into material. But we'll just leave it at more specifically. They are the cleaning is like holy shit, I'm getting lost as fuck. No, the cleaning is a conscious act that you do to grapple with, I don't know, the conditions, right? The conditions of humanity or something like that. Conditions of consciousness, okay? But Ellen herself, we never see. And we see Cotard, we see Caden just adopt the role. He does it for her, whatever. Almost like he's taking care of the house, taking care of memory, taking care of everything, almost like a guardian angel does of consciousness itself. All I'm trying to say is that what if Ellen is, in some sense, the representation or envoy
Gaia.
of this transcendent consciousness thing, because she's there for clean, you know, she's the cleaning lady or something like that. But what cleaning has come to mean throughout the film is basically this self-awareness or something like that, or self-fixation or neuroticism. We'll at least call it neuroticism, neurotic impulse to take care of things. But of course, the neurotic impulse is tied to self-awareness, self-consciousness, and death anxiety or something like that, which are all connected, of course, to consciousness itself, to being hyper-conscious.
Yeah.
When you are conscious of things, okay, so cleaning is a remedy of it. But we never see her. Instead, people adopt Ellen. You know, everyone is playing Ellen. Everyone takes on the subject.
Oh no!
I might not be going anywhere with this. This is kind of already.
Okay.
This is as far as I'm
I'm
pushing my
excited.
limits
I
now.
want to push.
I was
further.
also excited. I was just punching my ticket, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh wait, what the fuck?
Did-
wait, what do
did
you mean
you-
punching your ticket? Yeah. What's
Did you want to finish your thought?
up?
I have more questions to bring him further.
Hold on. I'll inject more
Yeah, go.
information to maybe juice this. A little
Okay,
bit.
go for it.
So after I think the first time he.
Is that
What was
revving a
Yeah,
chainsaw?
so I was doing like a chainsaw, like starting the. You're gonna
All
juice
right.
it. You're gonna,
Let's
sorry.
fucking
All right.
let's juice this up. So the first time he goes over to that fucking bitch, his ex-wife's fucking apartment.
Fucking bitch.
What's her name again? Fucking
Adele.
Adele.
Adele. No,
Adele.
do you mean Adele? Okay, yeah, you mean Adele.
Yeah.
Yes.
Adele's-
The first time he goes over there to clean, and then he comes back, and Claire's like, "Where were you?" And he's like, "I had to walk. I had to think about something."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, she mentions that he smells, and then she also makes a comment about him sort of smelling like he's menstruating.
Like
And-
menstruating and perfume or cleaning
Some
supplies.
cleaning supplies.
And so I wanted to tie that into Steven's idea about this sort of this Ellen archetype, right? And sort of like that I don't know, grappling. I don't know. I was thinking more along the lines of like some regenerative, motherly, sort of like Mother Earth, Gaia, sort of an idea, where the cleaning is this.
Yes.
I don't know, purification.
Ablution, right? The church, right? Ablution, the religious cleaning or something. Go on.
Ablation.
Isn't ablation when you fucking blow up like a thing? What's ablution?
I think that's called an explosion.
That's Dark Knight.
No, wait, hold on. I need to make sure I'm not confused.
Ablation?
No, ablution is the act of washing oneself. Ablation is a procedure restoring normal heart rhythm.
All right, so ablation.
Sorry,
Anyway.
I didn't mean to because I use ablation all the time, but I recently got mogged and corrected to ablution. So now I don't want to be psyoped again into fucking thinking it's ablation.
Wait, I don't even remember. It
anyway.
is ablution.
Anyways, go on.
Hold on. So this whole... So on a surface level, you could say that the menstruating thing is tied to him being literally Ellen. But if you sort of drill down into that, I think it's kind of lends itself more to what Steven was saying. And now you talk again.
I love the point. I think it's absolutely in line with where I'm going. I'm just having I just feel like there's a suture that needs to be added to end this, to fix this idea, to tie it up. And maybe Troy's got a needle he can lend me so I can juice up.
All right, part of this will be recap of the idea.
Yeah.
Hayden, very neurotic. His neuroticisms manifest into the physical world. This is a direction from consciousness entering into the material. His primary drive is to do the opposite, is to create this art or whatever that is ultimately in reference to a phenomenon and stuff like this. And his is more of like generating a material that works its way up into consciousness. At this phase of the film, he is beginning to become progressively more and more impotent. Also, he is, well, maybe not exactly impotent, but, Anyway, as he adopts the role of Ellen, he is transitioning in multiple ways. In one way, from director and generator into character player, into cleaner. And this is also a movement back into, like, consciousness, moving back down into material.
Yeah.
I totally forgot what I was going to add.
All right, well,
I feel like isn't that a decent concising?
Yes.
Or
yeah, that was accurate. Yes,
so.
that is
I wanted
correct.
to be tagged back in
You got to take it further.
tagged in.
to sort of go laterally a little bit
Yeah.
with this. Let's get some stuff out of the way first. So what does he use? What does Caden use to clean stuff? Toothbrush. Okay, that's obviously
True.
connected to health, neuroticism, etc. And then I wanted to rope into this whole what we're talking about. The scene where Olive is dying,
Yeah.
and they have to talk to each other.
Oh
and
my
but
God,
specifically her floral tattoos.
For edible arrangements.
Yeah, and how she even so on the plane ride, right? Or this is much earlier, but one of the plane rides to go to Germany, the therapist is there, and in the book it says, "I offered my ripe flower to you, and you rejected it."
Yeah.
No.
Isn't it something like that?
It says
Yeah.
flesh. It says flesh.
Flower.
I'm pretty sure it says flower, but
She says flower.
Now I don't know. Troy.
Well, okay,
I
wait,
don't know.
I'm on
Jake,
it.
I
I'm
don't
on the.
know.
Keep going.
Jacob,
Keep
your
going.
point
Keep
is
going.
not-
I want to
Listen,
hear the
just
line
like
because I think
Anyway.
it's connected
Keep going.
anyways. Go on.
And I hate, I've grown to like, it's kind of tiring, but his daughter's name is Olive. There's
Yeah.
certainly some symbolism there with
Right.
growth, fertility, something,
Yeah.
I just wanted to retrieve all those to tie them into this, I don't know, this sort of feminine
Yeah. Feminine
creation,
analysis.
rebirth.
Yeah.
there is. I feel like there's something. I feel like
You were
there's
right,
something going
Jacob.
on with like
Like
with Olive being his daughter, like I feel like the feminine in some sense becomes like so inaccessible to him, to the point where it's like, his daughter goes and has like a lesbianic relationship with some other woman, with his wife involved with and so like there is something about the like, I don't know, something about the whole like sequence with her dying is like, it's just as she's like telling him about the kind of pedophilic relationship with other women and
God
stuff.
damn, that was so.
Who the fuck is Maria
it
again?
makes-
It's not the
that's
friend.
the friend.
is it?
It
It's the
is.
friend.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
the
the
friend.
friend. It's the friend from the
Okay.
beginning
With
that
the
she
big-
likes.
Oh my
Dude, it's
God.
so insanely evil.
Well, it makes
I love how he calls her. He's like, she is an evil woman, and it's
You
like,
have no idea how evil she is.
Yeah, you have no idea.
I like how the brief moments of like where Caden can assert himself, like in Germany, was like, she's a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Even though he's wrong, I just
Right.
I just like the moments where can like
Right.
actually has a backbone.
Well, yeah, I feel, but he's wrong, which I feel like is like important to what we were talking about earlier about the disconnect between his ability to verbalize what he's tapping into and the actual truth of what's like he's trying to make into a coherent communication.
Yes. Troy, were you gonna say something?
I'm just.
Okay. Troy. So true, absolutely true. This is a great lens, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I do also want to say that there is something interesting about how he is constantly behind. I think it's difficult for me to think of another instance, but there are a couple to a few moments where he says, her age, and he's wrong, or how long it's been, and how long it's actually been, in the warehouse, things like this. He's always behind. And I think there's something interesting about how, first off, obviously we, just in the trite sense, like, it's not even trite. I mean, whatever. We live in the present, but we're always operating on things that are in the past, because we can't literally operate in the present. That's like immediate, and that's like the falsest knowing possible. Like we have to subject things to reflection, which takes time, even if it's very brief. It means we, consciousness operates in the past, obviously, right? So, but it's through his indebtedness to the past and to consciousness and reflection and things like this that a transcendent at the end, I think, if we're all on the same page or something, is able to posit itself as something outside of just the present and past, but maybe the universal. I won't say the future, because that's false, but more like the universal, the thing that's beyond just this time scale that he's constantly falling prey to, which also a lifespan is in. I don't know, that's a whatever point, but I don't know, something.
I was gonna
whatever. Fuck you guys.
Something. So like confession time. Steven and I had a conversation before this one, and it was not recorded. But he.
Did you record it? We could add it.
Yeah, right now. So here comes the the
recording.
recording starts now. So Steven, that's a great point. I had a point to add to that.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone I said this on the pod. Okay.
Okay.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Anyways,
We constructed our own thing.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
very.
What are you gonna tell him? What are you gonna tell him?
The point being that that's terrible. The point being the thing in when he's dying at the very end, and he's like, traversing through his set, his life, the world, and it's all decaying, and he gets in the golf cart and starts driving, and Ellen's instructing him what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a moment where she says like, you are just driving, and then you have this moment, and then this moment, and then this moment. Now it is 7:43. Now it is 7:44, and like, and there is like this reference to the immediacy and like its unattainability and that like you only exist in this like car that is driving, and it is only ever now and now. It's never actually like whatever.
Yeah, she's like, you're not going anywhere, not leaving anywhere, just driving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think though the point though is that through it's an ironic repetition that through constantly saying now it is, you understand that it never was any of those it never in the present sense was those moments. It only is after the fact as you recognize them, you know. It wasn't that even though
they're not actually referencing when you say and now it is now, it's like a futile reference to something that is not
exactly.
That's the point, is that you're constantly driving or whatever.
Right.
You're never
constantly driving, right?
Yeah.
You're moving past it all the time.
Anyways, I don't know if we wanted to go back to Olive or anything. I just want to say that the Olive section, where it's Olive describing the thing, she's like, I was a fairy and I was Laura Lee and Titri.
Oh, yeah.
God, it was so fucking
dude, I
heart-wrenching,
cried.
bro.
I cried when watching, and then I cried.
And
now
I have to die.
Yeah, she says I put in a box, and the box grows little wings, and the wings fly, and the box flies away. And you say, "Where are you going?" And then you say, "Home." Dude, when I rewatched it before, that was one of the scenes I stopped at and rewatched it right before the podcast, and I started to tear up.
Bro.
But yeah, it's insane how there's that. I don't actually know. I mean, I don't really know what to make of like the juxtaposition of like that, you know, because immediately after is when he goes to her deathbed and then has like the most dissonant like conversation with her ever.
Maybe I can kind of suture this just slightly. This isn't the Olive. I'm sorry. I'm kind of
that's fine.
It's not Olive, but instead the Femme and Ellen. Just to get back to that one thing. I'm not going to rehash all the shit again, but just simply say that Ellen, in some sense, you know, that there is a interesting universality across gender by having it be a woman, that it's man as woman, and that it's not just, sure, there's the archetypal feminine going on, but also that it's perhaps possessed also within men. It's within everyone. It's somehow a universalizing thing, but not just that. That's more of a side point. I think the real point to be made is, or the point that I'd like to make is that fucking consciousness, Alan taking care of it, mother taking care of things, fucking scrubbing shit. Oh, come on! I lost it. All I swear to God, I lost
Brody,
it. I'm sorry.
Brody, we gotta let Brody hop in here.
Did Brody have something to say?
I'm sorry.
At some point?
All right.
I had something to say like a while ago.
If you remember it, it's totally fine to say now. If it's not relevant,
it's not particularly relevant. I'm gonna
cut me out. I'm done.
I'm gonna express simply a sentiment, and the sentiment is, when I was watching the movie, I was oftentimes cringing at the main character's name. What is his name? Caden. Right? And I was cringing not because the movie was bad, but at his own actions. The actions being, whenever he something happens in his life, and then he's going to now funnel this directly, line for line, into his play.
Right.
And I was like, stop. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. There's something seems to be wrong about this process. And it's almost signified within the film itself, which is you don't know how much time has passed, where time is, like, everything is segmented in the way that, I don't know, perhaps our consciousness is segmented, right? Which is, like, there's huge swaths of time where, like, we don't really remember shit, and things just happen. All of a sudden you just appear, and it's, like, been 5 years later, right? And but we're segmented by these moments, you know? And they're distilled, and they've been recontextualized, and they've been packaged nicely, while in his creative process, he's trying to engulf everything all at once into the film, or into the play, right? Without any, like, attempts made for it being, like, a creative
like
pursuit.
no, like, mediation.
Yeah, there's no
selection.
Right, there's no creative mediation. That's good. Right?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I just, like, it just makes me think about, like that, just, like, on the consciousness front, I suppose. And his own incessant neurosis and self-reflection that tries to bring so many things into it that and trying to make it so encapsulating and so to be everything that like it gradually shrinks, and his own role then becomes to shrink. And then when the new director comes in, it like she starts to add like some like creative
particularity.
Yeah, right. But then you're watching this and you're like, well, it seems like she's not really getting it. You know, like this maybe is a little cringe. The way she's doing it's a little over dramatized. It's like something about this doesn't feel right. It's not the actual creative direction of what Caden's trying to do. But then people seem to like it for whatever reason, and then his role begins to diminish as the thing becomes bigger. There we go.
That scene is very notable as basically the only time religion is explicitly discussed.
Yeah.
And it's fucking based and highly stylized, like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a
It is an
take?
insane speech.
Not to distract from your actual more broad point. I just want to make sure that we do talk about that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can definitely get to it, and it might like come about within talking about this. But yeah, there is something about like the Caden, is convinced by and he says this like explicitly multiple times about like he is convinced by the like infinite meaningfulness of everyone's interactions of every day and every small thing being important and like totally meaningful, and so he tries to, in a sense, like make his play be just that, that he tries to make this thing that is universal without he like starts with the universal, which is the world as it is, and then he tries to keep it without losing anything by just recreating it, like recreating the universal as it is,
Right.
And so and then with him, in some ways stopping being the director in some kind of like spirit of him continuing being the director, like when this like baton is passed. I actually don't know. I'm gonna say something. I don't actually know like whether I super am down with this take, but it does seem like, when Ellen Ellen being not just this actress, because I think you can kind of when the actress who plays Ellen becomes him, and takes on his role and directs this scene, that I think that her, I don't know, maybe there's something interesting going on with her being with this discussion of like the spirit of Ellen, or like the archetype of Ellen, that she's still like embodying this in some sense or something. But when she directs this scene, and it somehow it has a level of selection and of like whittling down and deciding on something to say, as opposed to just recreating universal. She's like choosing a particular that then reveals like the universal, as opposed to like presenting the universal as such, as this like in this incoherent thing that's like unparsable or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This man is speaking properly Hegelian. So like there's a Hegel quote where it's like you can't move from universals to particulars, only from particulars to universals.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along those lines. It might just be that you cannot begin with universal, end of that statement, and then instead one has to traverse through particulars into the universal. That might be what it is more accurately. But that the idea being, I think John's putting it great. I think Brody put it well. I think this is what I was trying to think, but then I was like, whoa, I took a step back. But the idea that so Caden is obsessed, in some sense neurotically obsessed, with beginning with the universal. beginning with brutal, honest truth, everything. It'll be death. It'll be everything. Brutal honesty. It'll be real.
Mm-hmm.
That's his goal. He wants to, and it's never going to work. It's like this is obviously going to go on forever is what you're thinking of as a viewer. You're like, this shit can't end. Like if he's just going to keep adding layers and layers and layers of reflective stuff to it. But instead, as John says, that the person playing him, the one who was once Alan but is now playing him as director. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
That instead, you're right. She, though I forget how she instructs things, but I'll just go with what you're saying, that she's increasing the amount of particularization going on and fixating on things.
I was gonna say I can describe what the scene is originally, and then I don't have to describe in detail what the scene becomes, but I think it is important for the point to describe what the scene is before and what she turns it into, because what it is before is it's his father, right? His father's funeral, correct?
Yeah, pretty sure it's his
and
father.
so it's like it's a recreation of his father's funeral. At which he says the thing that we were talking about earlier, the 13 million line, where he says, like, he turns to Hazel and he says, I know how to do this play now. There's 13 million people and they all live their own lives and they're all protagonists of their own stories. And he says something like that, pretty close to that. Right. And it like isn't working. And then she, changes everything. And then the preacher then gives the speech instead. And he just drops some, like, one of the coolest, most epic things ever. I don't remember exactly what he says, but I remember, like, kind of generally where it goes or whatever. But just to say that is, which we see that happening earlier, and then we immediately see it in play form, and then we see it. This is the third time we see the scene,
right?
And that this is what she is translating into this thing that he ends up agreeing with as being the truth or something like that. And
he ends up agreeing in the sense that he's like crying at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's crying, and then he sees it as beautiful. He says amen. He says like amen because the preacher so he's down with it, He's right. He's like, this is real. Right. Sorry.
Anyways, yeah.
If you have somewhere to go back to.
No, just I mean that would be the moving from particular to universal, that he gets to say amen because he's recognizing it for once instead of just thinking about how he's gonna have an actor play this guy who's giving the speech, who's him watching the speech, Yeah. He's instead just immersed in the thing itself, going amen, because he's immersed in the particular or something like that.
It is the first time he's satisfied with anything that's being created throughout.
Well, I mean,
so true,
right? Yeah, that's true. However, he is really satisfied with Sammy when Sammy says, I want to fuck you, like, whatever. He loves what Sammy says for his audition. Do you remember that?
That's true, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he loves it. It's like, that's a pretty big moment for him.
What is does Sammy describe doesn't it, because Sammy describes, like, I don't know if you'd call it Sammy is doing in any way similar to what happens with the translation of this scene.
No,
because he describes he is not playing the scene of trying to be Caden. He instead gives a little speech about no, never mind. He literally describes what Caden is thinking, right?
Yeah, but Sammy gets to say it in a way that Caden isn't able to. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
say.
So that, I don't think that they're identical. That it's the same thing going on, but that Caden is encountering another stage of knowing or something like that. That he's properly seeing, like. I don't know how else to say, but like what you said, like he's saying exactly what he's feeling and he's immersed in what Sammy's saying,
Yeah.
Like this is not something that is typically happening. Typically what's happening is he's obsessed with himself, not being immersed in other things. But through Sammy, he's able to enter a stage, which is, though it's of course himself, he's able to at least be immersed in something else, though it just has to be himself first. Now, he's entered, like this is like a rare moment for him where like in other cases, like he's not, whatever. I don't know if that's exactly true because he does get immersed in other things. He does like seem, well, okay, think about the Olive scene. So with Olive, he's very, he gives her what she wants, when he says like, I'm sorry for leaving you and doing whatever, but
anal sex with Eric.
Yeah, which is like he's just totally just saying it right to give her last wish, right?
Is he?
Great
Go ahead,
question.
sorry.
But the first point is just that he initially does deny it, and I do take that to be the truth, but maybe it's not. That's a good point. Maybe it's not. But anyways, that I don't know, that maybe that throws a wrench in what I'm saying, because this is a moment where, actually no, maybe it doesn't. My point is that it doesn't.
Anyways, it doesn't.
My point is that it actually doesn't throw a wrench in my thing, because this is a moment where he is expressing actually a false earnest immersion, because his point of going there initially is to deny the allegations, right? No, I wasn't this. Yeah. I never left you. It was that evil bitch, et cetera, right? This is like a false immersion in the situation, This is still just a self-obsessed one, not taking seriously the fact that she's going to die or something like that. But he does say, I don't think that it's correct to just tell her what she wants either. I think that's false too. So I think that entire venture of his is a total failure. Like, literally, it's like you facepalm when he just gives her what she wants, right? That's not the point of this last moment.
Yeah, when she denies him, it's like,
right. It
is what she, it is,
Yeah, it's right. It's like right. It's perfectly correct, because also it in obviously the meta way. It's like, yes, you have failed here. You didn't even set out with the right goals in this situation. You weren't supposed to just be self-obsessed in some sense, and then if not that, be self-obsessed in the sense you want to give her exactly what she wants. You're supposed to pass into something else. I don't know. I don't have a really good take, but just that. I'll just leave it at that. Fucking whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. That
was good.
On the gay thing, note for the editor, might need to be cut.
They're people. They're not things.
Right. On the gay subject. The implication, maybe, is that, like, Olive kind of got coerced into being gay, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the implication.
And now, of course, now the accusation is that Caden is gay, right? But actual gay,
right.
but like sort of in like, so, and then
he might
so
not
like
actually be
whatever. Like it's potential and been talked about that he is potentially undercover gay, in the closet gay, right? But then also he's like, I don't know. So it just makes me think.
Just laughing undercover.
Yeah.
Yeah, undercover is funny.
It just makes me think. I don't know. I just wonder, Kaufman, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Kaufman bros.
Like without, like, it just makes me think, like, in the most literal sense possible, like, what is it that Kaufman thinks about sexuality and
sure.
and its expression of it?
Well, so I thought you were going to go with, and maybe you did, and I am not. You briefly skirted over it if you did, but the idea that she was coerced into her lesbianic / kind of like pedophilic or whatever situation, but that he is also coerced into admitting that he's gay.
Yes.
Or admitting, right, saying that he's gay, because she wants him. She literally says she wants him to apologize, coerce. So I thought you were gonna draw a through line across all these coercions of sexuality or claims of sexuality.
But then there's also this thing, and maybe this isn't even separate from coercion, but once the Ellen has taken over being a director, or I think as she becomes in the process of overtaking as director, he's wearing that silly wig. Do you guys remember the silly girl hair?
It's awesome. So
right?
funny.
You know,
Yeah.
once again, he he sort of makes claims about how he wants to be a woman, he wants to be pretty, right? And then which also has discussions and thoughts around sexuality, and it's sexuality within its expression, and how there are external forces at play, and it's not a purely internal one, which I would think that is what
I like that.
what Kaufman is attempting to lay out, or what his beliefs are.
Well, even if it's not just a Kaufman belief, but just I think you're totally right to point out the fact that there is this external of sexuality as opposed to it just being like this true internal core of someone's subjectivity,
right.
and we don't get it, but that there's some extreme external relationship even in the very idea of like being closeted is...
Yes, that's right. Even within being closeted, that's right. Yeah.
Right, like being closeted isn't just, oh, I can't admit that I'm gay. It goes much deeper than that, because it could literally be like, it's this
repressed homosexuality.
Yeah, extreme repression going on.
Yeah.
that is in part like due to the environment, whatever. But so like, what is the core? It's like, well, the core could be his sexuality, which is just a relatively effeminate masculine sexuality, which is just he cries when he has sex with women, which isn't, and it's like just an earnest, sentimental, he's sad about dying, he's sad about the moment, it's like, maybe that's all that's what's going on. Maybe that's the core, or maybe it's that he's, it's ambiguous as to what the core of someone's sexuality or something like that is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
we've all been there.
I feel like
yeah.
I feel
college,
like
remember that, Troy?
the label of homosexuality and the way that it refers to, like, is applied to Caden. I mean, it could be playing like also like the kind of more obvious, like, when he's accused of being homosexual by Olive, there is something like degrading about it in the term in the especially within the context of the scene in which it's like, like, admit that you had sex with Eric.
Well, and it's even more interesting because not even more, but another thing is that, like, Olive is gay, and she's been incorporated in this whole sort of gay situation. But what is
meaning
been used,
her with Maria? And
yes,
the
but what she's been told in order to degrade her father via her mom or Maria or whatever the hell, whoever told her that was by telling her that her dad is gay, right? It's like it's very disjunctive.
Well, right. The idea. Well, if we go on, you answer first.
I'm just saying it's funny how it's. I don't know if this was already brought up, but it's funny how it's like the mirror opposite of the truth, right? It's like Olive is trying to tell Caden that, like, he abandoned them to go on like a gay escapade or whatever, but like, yeah, that's literally why Adele like took fucking Olive, was to go be with Maria and do a bunch of like have like a gay escapade in Berlin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Love that they go to Berlin.
And I don't know if it's trying to say something. Is Kaufman sort of in a Trierian fashion trying to say something about how women process reality and how they'll project things onto others in order to kind of have sort of a reckoning with their grievances, in order to cleanse their moral slate.
It's funny. Trier is 1 million times more generous to his women than Kaufman is in this film. Almost all the women are pure, unadulterated evil, And
In this
Hateful
film?
Evil?
Hazel's
Yeah.
Hazel's
Hazel is good.
Hazel's the only one.
Hazel,
no,
Ellen-
Ellen's cool,
Claire's not.
Helen's
Claire's
cool.
not
Claire's not
evil.
very evil.
Hazel,
Claire's not
Claire,
evil. She's just
Ellen.
totally not admirable.
This is just two people.
Listen. All I'm saying,
Ellen.
I'm Trier defending, not Kaufman
Oh,
bashing.
okay.
I want to quickly note just on the GQ that that Caden
Is that what
clearly
GQ
says
magazine stands for?
yes.
That
that
actually stands for.
Caden tells Hazel or whoever he's talking to, like, we need to talk about his desire to be pretty.
Well, this okay.
And
I was.
how that role.
Never mind.
I'm not done yet.
Sorry.
All right, I'm done. Just kidding. His desire to be pretty, and he tells her that he has never had any desire for penis. He only loves vagine. And is that what she says, right? Olive.
What about how
Also,
when Sammy...
Olive is a color. Olive is a color. Hazel is kind of a mix of colors. Claire means clear. And just to wrap it up, there's a lot of
Oh my
a lot
god.
of cishet men in here, and that's going to be the end of my commentary on the TQ, GQ, SQ.
What about how when Sammy is speaking in persona Caden and talks about how he, as in Caden, wants to sort of alchemically fuse with Hazel to form
becoming
a chimera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So true.
Right?
He literally
true.
says
It's so
chimera.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Penis
so
and
awesome.
vagina, lips always touching, eyes staring into each other.
I thought that was so
Absolutely.
funny.
It was so
Yeah,
funny.
come here,
I love
penis
and
and
Sammy
vagina.
delivering it is so funny because
Yeah.
It's so good.
I feel like that maybe ties into this whole what we were talking about.
Well, I think okay. I have something to say.
Very
So
true.
I think Caden has this whole in touch with the universal, trying to create the universal at all times, and this when brought to the bio level of sexuality or something, that inherently there's a contradiction between the his like being a like trying to reach this point of the chimera, and also there not being, because the chimera in some way is this that he describes the chimera is this like melding into the universal or something, like the perfect resolution of contradictions of like the male and female or something like this, and that in his everyday life, in this like kind of striving for like kind of the universal and like understanding this, he's met with this contradiction within himself, because as being like as being like a man or something, like, does anybody know, like, does anybody
yes,
understand what I'm saying?
I love what you're saying. May I jump in?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, this film is not complementarity, dualism, yin yang bullshit where, oh, she's all these negatives, I'm all these positives.
It's
we together, we
dialectic,
make a
not yin
thing.
and yang.
It is the chimera is fucking dialectic. It's literally both. It's not, oh, we cancel each other out, we balance each other perfectly. She's this, I'm this. We match perfectly like puzzle pieces. Yay! No, it is rather what he's pushing for is the chimera, which is literally both.
Yeah, they become the same
community.
thing. They become the same.
Which aligns
entity.
very tastefully with the Christian view of marriage, wherein the bride and
cleavage,
groom
right?
become one flesh under God, indivisible.
Liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Right? Isn't
Nah.
there a line in the Bible? And this is not. I'm not making a meme with this word because I thought that there was a significant thing where it's like cleavage, meaning like the cleaved out flesh
Yes.
of both persons or something like that, and then you're bonded together through the flesh or something like that. I don't know, something like that.
There's definitely
I'm with
something.
it. You know what Hegel's moniker is? He's called the Christian philosopher. That's his moniker. Like, Shakespeare's the bard. Hegel's
Okay.
the Christian philosopher.
That's very interesting, Bateman.
What am I?
Okay, Liz,
Anyways,
hold
that's
on.
all.
Hold on. I want to go back to what I was part of what I was trying to say is that like when he tries to take this kind of universal of like, being like both and it being like everything, you know, like he's trying to take this universal thing, and then it comes to like his everyday life and everyday sexuality and dealings with women, as well as like the kind of social conditions with like, then he's met with all these contradictions or like the labels of like, homosexuality and this, that, the other, and the like him asking, he wants to be like pretty, and this like, and so I think that like there's something going on with like his like internal or internal, external, whatever, above him universality, like not it. I mean, I feel like there's probably examples of this in other places, but this is just like with the sexuality, like when it comes to functioning in everyday life, it's like it runs up to against the contradictions of like the bio of like the materialistic or something like that, or the social conditions. Social.
Well, it's bio plus social. It's contradictions on two fronts, right? Two separate fronts. Like the social's emergent from the bio. You might call them both. You could maybe call them both material, or at least like something like that. But it's on two different fronts, right? The contradictions exist. I don't think it's the same thing. They're not both bio. I think earlier you said that there was a contradiction of bio associated with sexuality, which is absolutely true. But I think even sociocultural, which is kind of
which is the label of the homosexuality is like that.
But that is that's outside of an individual. That's an external, but it's literally multiple consciousnesses, and then we inflect them, we interpolate them. Yeah. Interpellate them, not interpolate.
How the hell have we been talking about the GQ for 30 minutes?
Because also, wait, Steven, you need to run that back. What?
Interpellate. Yeah, look it up.
What is that? No,
it's when social things are introjected. It's typically used for ideology, but you can use it in other things.
Hold on. We're going deeper. What?
So like you can...
No, you used another crazy word.
Not interpolate, but interpellate.
Yeah, and then you said introject.
Oh, introject, yeah.
What's introject?
Do you know what the
Interpolate, the definition of interpolate in terms of philosophy is bring into being or give identity to an individual category.
Wait, hold up. How are you spelling it?
I thought he was making fun.
That's how you're spelling it.
Well, I want to be on the record as...
interpellate, as in pellets of wood I put in my smoker to make tasty baby back ribs.
Okay.
Wait. Oh.
Let's just say, in Marxist theory, especially that of Louis Althusser, interpellation is a culture's or ideology's creating of identity for individuals.
Oh,
anyways,
and introject?
Introject is just the act. It's a psychoanalytic term. It's just for when something is going on in the external world, whether it be in the world of ideas socioculturally or maybe just the environment, who knows, but how you're corresponding. And you're gonna take that and somehow incorporate it as part of you, as your identity, psyche, subjectivity. So a common one would just be like, like everyone fucks with you for a certain thing. That thing was baseless, but now you introject and start to think that you really are that thing, and so become that thing. That thing becomes literally present in you because everyone kept accusing you of it. That type of thing. Does that make sense?
That's a
that
great
would be
word.
like a super surface level.
That's the kind of word that if you didn't describe it, I would have reached for it and used it incorrectly.
Yeah.
I love it.
You would have reached it? I don't know. Because think about like projection is you
but
onto the world.
Oh,
Introject
true.
is the world into you.
Okay, boom. Explained. I understand
there you go.
Perfectly now. That is a great word.
It's a great word. It is. It's a great word.
I love
that word.
Love that word. Love that for you. Anyways.
I just hope everyone has smoked their bowl of crack that we placed before this podcast.
Well, hold on. Maybe we... Well, there's so much to talk about this film. Are we not going to talk about the pod?
We can talk about... I'm down to talk about whatever. I'm excited with how this pod is going.
Yeah, this is going very well. I'm excited.
I'm glad no one thought this film was godless or like bad upon revisiting. That's what I'm excited about. I was worried that whether it be Troy or Jacob, or John, because John revisited as well, I was worried someone was just gonna think that it was fucking bad upon
We
revisiting.
could- I mean,
And
we
it sounds
could-
like
Don't
no one
speak.
thinks
Don't
it's
speak
bad.
too soon.
Oh
good.
shit! Really? All right.
Once
Well,
again,
not
this
really,
is why
but
we did
I've
not
got
have
some-
opening thoughts.
I've got some bad things
What
to
are
say.
some of
Well,
your
that's
bad
fine.
things to say?
Yeah, let's get into that. Let's hear
Yeah,
some
we can talk
critical
about bad
things.
things.
Yeah, let's hear some negative
Okay.
things.
We're talking about we're being critical now, Jacob.
Yeah,
We're thinking
Being critical?
but I want to hear
Okay.
Troy launch some things. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Throw some hand
ignore the
grenades.
commentary about the relationship between this film and having a good podcast. Save that for later. We'll
Okay,
just tuck
yeah.
that away.
Just about that.
Wait, you guys are what's going on?
So Troy,
No,
Troy,
I'm
you're
saying-
just, yeah, go.
What's happening is I'm gonna say that I do like the film.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, and it wasn't as bad as I was worried it would be in retrospect.
Okay.
Because I was so ashamed of my admiration for it.
Right.
But I will note that I think that, to me, what keeps it from being truly great, I don't think it's truly great, going to TM, and I think what keeps it from being truly great is it's not, you'll have to forgive me, but in a pretty, like, literal, not big thing way sense, it's not real. It feels at all times like you're watching, like, a hyper-constructed thing. And so I think it keeps it from reaching a certain level of like identification and not identification, but like a certain level of whatever. Now I really like the film. But I think this type of thing, like if you were to watch a movie and like you're aware, like a Lynch, some
Time out.
Lynch films.
Time out.
Sorry, go ahead.
So can I just say that I don't give a fuck about Cotard art symbol. I don't like.
I'm not accusing anyone,
Okay.
or I'm not
like
saying
as in
that,
a
like,
top
falling for
down,
the
as in a
analytic.
top down.
Yeah.
You know, this was constructed because you're saying it was very constructed in a sense.
No, I know, but I'm not saying like,
Your
unlike you
awareness.
guys, I'm not falling for the analytic trap.
No, but it was
If that's what you're
intimately
saying.
real. I was just loving it. I was like crying shit.
No.
What do you, I don't get.
I
So
think
just,
it's
I want you to hone in and describe what you mean by it not being real, because you're saying it's artificial or some other term. I want you.
Yeah,
I want you to hone in on that.
Yeah, listen, I'm going off the fly here, so
That's
I might
fine.
live to regret it.
It's fine.
But I just feel that, yeah, there's a certain feeling at all times of looking at something unreal, looking at something artificial, looking at something extremely constructed, but in a way that, to me, you know, obviously, like, you look at anything sufficiently grand and beautiful, you feel that. And I actually generally like the sense of viewing something highly composed or highly thought out, you know, or something like this, some sense like that. But I think here it's so over the top and neurotic the whole time that it becomes difficult to sort of, I don't know, sort of take seriously the reality of what you're seeing. Even though on paper I would never go against the reality of this film.
Could I,
Like, I would never actually be like, oh, this isn't real because it's obviously the time and all this stuff, you know?
could I ask?
I just think, I just want to quickly
Yeah,
say, I
sorry,
do
sorry,
find
go
it very
ahead.
emotionally compelling, and I still think on that level it works extremely well.
Could
Okay.
I want to ask like so oh, never mind, maybe I don't want to do this. I was gonna bring in, actually never mind, it's not worth. I was gonna bring in House That Jack Built, but I feel like it's not worth, because I don't know if everyone's seen it or if it's like
I almost referenced it myself.
I would
yeah,
love
'cause-
talking about that
Dude.
just insofar as
Yeah,
we can
'cause
just
that's-
yeah,
say
yeah.
dude, okay. I
that
want
is-
to. Okay, let me bring it.
Guilty
in,
of the
'cause
same thing, I would say.
Yeah, Troy. I want to hear because I think in House That Jack Built, there are very clearly identifiable moments of non-neuroticism in which like it clearly reaches past the constructed frame or something into something that
Yeah.
and so that as a comparison, maybe I got Steven, because maybe Steven,
Yeah.
like, because you feel you feel as though there is like a difference between how like you and Troy felt when watching the film and like what you're saying. If you were to compare it to House That Jack Built, like, and think about it in those terms of this kind of more explicit moment of reaching for this other thing or seemingly non-constructedness that feels that way, because talking about Synecdoche, do you feel like there's a moment that feels that way, and or is there some, or like in that frame? I mean, what do you think about Synecdoche?
I prefer Synecdoche over House That Jack Built. They're obviously very different films. But that House That Jack built, I would say, is a
absolute sacrilege.
Is a bad infinite. No, not really. I think I love it. I think House of the Jack Bill is awesome. I would love to do a podcast on it. And I can see myself giving it insanely high reviews. I'm not going to give this one, spoiler, I'm not going to give it a fucking 5. But like this film, I'm not going to give a 5. But like just that when artists are moving past or something like that, this, while I enjoy it, I don't think it's necessarily the place for art to do that. Like I don't rate things less for not doing it or something like that. I don't think this is exactly what Troy would say, but I do think that House That Jack Built is very manufactured and meta. I mean, it's like, it's extremely obviously meta. It's so meta. It's like it's like not even. It's not really even meta. It's literally.
It is at all times extremely unreal.
Right. I
have a comment that I think this is the perfect.
But just that your viewing experience and how you're evaluating it is so radically different than Synecdoche, New York, and I don't value the House That Jack Built method more than the Synecdoche, New York one. Although I see that they're both they're both dealing with a constructed element or something like that. Does anyone want to respond?
I don't have a big comment.
Yeah.
One, I want to say, I can't put, pen to paper on, my lived experience of the two different films. And I cry here, but I don't cry here, and I can speculate. Anyway, I just think notably House That Jack Built, they're both extremely artificial in nature at all times, but the framing of Synecdoche is much more that of a quote unquote normal film, where like the camera's in the world and you're watching these people and blah, blah, blah. Whereas House That Jack Built, like you are extremely aware, literally told essentially that what you're watching is a film made by one of the characters and that it's not meant to represent reality at all. Like it's his own little construction. So in that way, your viewing of House That Jack Built is not discordant. In that way, oh my gosh.
Take a moment. Take a sip.
God does not want Troy to make this point.
We're not cutting this.
Testing.
Cut that.
When you're watching House That Jack Built, you're very aware. Like you are told that you're like the fact that you're looking at an artificial object of creation is the frame of the film for most of it. So your experience of it is not discordant with what the film proposes as being the case. In contrast to Synecdoche, where, I don't think it's trying to hide the house is on fire, etc. It's not trying to hide its, artificial constructed nature. It's throwing it in your face. But I just think the framing is a bit different. So there's a kind of dissonance when you're watching, the olive scene, the crying, the death or whatever. And like this feeling of non-reality or something like this. But
how can you
yada, they're very different. Go ahead.
I don't know. I just don't see how you could say that that House That Jack Built solves the reality problem. Even though you're right that I think I agree with the point that the dissonance is different / not there, but that it doesn't solve the ultimate reality problem of like a spectatorship idea or a false reality. It's a false reality. It's a reality, but it's false.
No, it's a film. In the film.
Well,
I mean,
No,
literally.
but-
And
but-
they do enter reality in House of Jack
Hold on.
Bill, and then it's
I want
real.
to introduce a third example that is maybe a little more constrained in like the elements at play. So, when watching something like Through a Glass Darkly, and you have the play in Through a Glass Darkly, you have this play, and it never stops looking like a play. You know, it doesn't like suddenly like take on the whatever, like become quote unquote real or something in the film or something. Like, you know, what you're looking at is constructed and obviously constructed, but there is like a, you know, I mean, what I would typically refer to as like an emotional reality that happens that convinces you of it's like universality or something, even though it is referencing constantly clear to you that it is this particular thing, you know, and not like that is people depicting this thing and not like the thing itself or something like that. But I don't know, basically just to bring in that as like a more stripped down version of like this idea of like constructedness and being like, I would say, convinced of its you know, I don't know, I just hesitate to use the word realness, like I don't know, but like it's like importance or something as being more than just the sum of its parts, more than just this constructed thing. I mean, like Troy, like would you say like in those terms, like when you watch Through a Glass Darkly, that this is like a good analog for what you're talking about when watching Synecdoche, in which like you're watching a constructed thing that you're being made aware it's a constructed thing, but you're unconvinced of it in the same way you are when watching, you know, the play and like Through a Glass Darkly.
I like the idea of the play in Through Glass Darkly, although I think, I don't know. I'm trying to think about that. It gave me an idea, but it's not clearly at all related to Through a Glass Darkly.
That's fine.
But,
I mean, I brought it in for like maybe clarity's sake, for like because the terms are, I think, are simpler within this frame. So, but I don't. I mean, if it's not actually sparking any like real.
No, I think it clearly gave me the idea I'm about to share, but I have no idea the real connection. I do think there's something there with Glass Darkly.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
I'll go on.
I just don't.
I just want to quickly go ahead. Go ahead. Me go ahead. I just want to quickly say, I think one difference is in Synecdoche, I think what is super in your face and kind of maybe distracting you from the characters is Kaufman and his, you know, I think what you constantly hear is Kaufman talking to you really loudly all the time. And that's not something present in House of Jack Built. You hear the character talking to you loudly all the time. And then later, you know, you hear Trier, but there's a clear distinction that's like explicit.
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to just totally shit on like a point being like I mean, I don't know, because we're at a point where we're like really like there might be something you're meaning that isn't exactly what I'm hearing, you know, with like, but I just to say I don't see when watching House that Jack Built, I'm never feeling as though Trier is not present in the exact same way that Synecdoche, New York. Like I don't actually see a distinction between the two. I don't know. But once again, I don't know if that's actually a fruitful path to go down with, like, to respond to then like talk about like what actually constitutes like presence of the director in the film.
I think it's a bit worth. I mean, I think there's just like roughly degrees. I mean, obviously in any great film or whatever, if you know the director and all that stuff, you can feel them in the whole, you know,
Sure.
whole way. But they're always guiding you. They're telling you the story. But you know, think like the contrast between the burning house in Synecdoche and the reunion, the conversation between the father and son-in-law in Through a Glass Darkly on the boat.
Yeah.
Right? Like Kaufman is screaming in the burning house, right? The house is on fire. The characters aren't doing that. It's part of the world that is so clearly a manifestation of Kaufman's will versus two characters on the boat having a conversation. Of course, Bergman is channeling through everything.
Yeah.
But if those characters are like, really good, then there's a real character there, and they're agents.
Yeah, but I feel like you could make the argument like stylistically Bergman is extremely present in like having a, like if you watch any parody of Bergman, there's things that are there that are present in that moment in Through a Glass Darkly that make it, whatever. I understand it's different than like a ironic insert as the house burning is, but I don't know if the house burning being this kind of like irony or like a joke or whatever as like a clever insert. I don't actually know. I'm wondering like about the sincerity of things like that, because I think that like when I hear somebody talk about the movie being funny, it's like so like a black comedy or something. It's like I feel like there is like comedic elements in kind of the most fundamental sense, but that like but that it's the same sort of thing as I think
it's like
Kaufman.
How's the Jack Bill when he fucking has the meat shack with a fucking shitload of people lined up? This is obviously like, it's not like haha funny, but it's humoristic in the sense like it's a dramatic over the top thing that is like funny. Whatever. Go on.
Well, I was gonna say I
want to hear what your point, and then I actually have a real point to make. Go on.
My point being, or what I was gonna say is that he's making this kind of obviously like kind of funny, I like ironic something or whatever point, like clever point with the house being burnt, house being on fire, but that this if you take what we've said before seriously about Caden's character expressing these things, and then the way in which they get into Claire's response to his like sincere point, and it becoming trite through both his expression and then people's interpretation of it, or like non-recognition of the actual universal thing underneath what he's saying. I think that the trite points being made by, because I think you could, if you're looking at them as these like kind of clever quips or something by Kaufman, these like kind of trite points being made when he has the house burning aren't actually, there's like a sincerity and like a belief that Kaufman has that he is trying to manifest something universal and knows that it's imperfect, and that like there is obviously an added layer of like this kind of neurotic humor or something being added, but I think that it is not shallow in that regard. I don't know.
Agreed.
All right.
I mean, I think The Burning House is fantastic. It is funny and also like so true.
Right.
Like getting locked into massive obligations that basically spell your death.
Yeah, can we just all agree that this is the truest comedy you've seen? I'm not kidding.
The truest comedy.
So like it's a silly thing, right? Obviously, but like insofar as it's not a tragedy, because it sounds like all of us agree that it's a bit more transcendent and optimism pilled than what like a first viewing, high school viewing, or maybe if it just reached theaters again, a lot of people would just think, oh my God, this movie so sad. You can imagine a large sentiment is going to be how depressing the movie is, whatever. But do we agree that it actually accomplishes a non-tragedy in a comedy, and it establishes that as being true? Now, there's a lot of films which establish truth, but they do so through a fundamental tragedy. Shakespeare's known for his tragedies. There's, there might be like contentions with this point, but like Bergman's films, there's various films which are
most Bergman films
are like tragedies, but they're obviously getting at something true or transcendent,
very life affirming.
But that this is a comedy to its core, and I don't mean that it's silly and funny, but that it's a comedy and it is triumphant and it's pretty fucking true in a unique way. And that could probably only be accomplished through a black comedy or like a dark comedy, right?
It is.
Like I made that joke to a coworker. That's so funny. Yeah. Anyways,
I just say I like how it is. In some ways, like the he kind of has like in by some measure a terrible life.
like,
like with
right.
And the ultimate thing is that he dies,
Mhm.
But the thing is that like they're the triumph. It makes the triumph so much more real because the triumph is you don't have to think about it is in spite of the obvious, like it doesn't have to combat with the fact that he had like an incredible life or something, like it doesn't, it's like it happens in spite of
Right, and
the
it embraces
horribleness of his
that.
life. It embraces it. And I don't know, it's funny because it's like you might think it was like so sad because he just like dies, and
You
that's
never
like
made the
why
movie.
it's, and that you made a sad movie, but it's like
you
the
never
whole
made the
point
side
is
of the
that like
play.
like everyone dies or whatever, so like the idea that like because he dies it can't be triumphant or something.
Mhm.
How lucky he
Is
is
like insane.
that he feels as though he's on the verge of death, but for so long. He really gets to contend with it in his play for
True.
just an insane amount of time in the most honest way possible. Because at every single moment, he's like, I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
And he ends up like growing old.
Yeah.
yeah.
Although he's pretty lucky. He got a lot of sniz.
He might have died in his like, we don't know how old he is, right? But he probably dies in his like, I mean, he
80s.
could look anywhere from a fucked up 60-year-old to like an 80-year-old,
What you don't know is that what you thought the whole time was that he was perceiving time to be passing slower, where it was actually, he was perceiving weeks when it was actually years. What you don't know is that it's actually the opposite, right? Is that over the course of the film, really only like 2 weeks pass,
Yeah.
You mean
But-
2 hours?
but he's just so
Actually,
like
it's a minute because the
he's
clock
just so
begins
anxious
stuff
and fucked up
before.
that he ages like an insane amount.
Yeah.
Right. That's why
And
they
so
recommend
does
wine.
all the other people. So does Hazel because she's just so stressed.
Well, that's just in his mind.
You think because
Yeah,
the real. Oh, that's just in his
Psychosis.
mind. Oh, never mind that. I
Yeah.
was gonna say the real marker of how fast things are going is actually the burning house. That's actually in real time.
So
But yeah,
true,
what you
yes.
don't know is that when he
So
gets hit
true.
by when he gets hit in the head by the faucet, it actually triggers early onset dementia. And
I love
Early
the
onset
faucet
time
scene. So
travel.
good.
Dude, the first,
Really
That was scary.
the first,
Ah!
yeah, the first third,
Start telling people with dementia they have that.
dude,
Time travel.
dude, the first third,
They have early onset syndrome.
the first third of the film is so fucking good. Like, obviously, I like
Yeah.
the whole movie,
Yeah.
but the first third is so fucking crazy good. Imagine that popped into theaters, and you were watching that, like today,
Mm,
as in because it's an American film, right? It's an '08 American
Yeah.
film. It's not it's
Crazy,
some
it's
this
foreign
is-
thing from like
This is a
80s.
great thing to add to the list of American films that are
as
you
a
know,
dub.
Good.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is.
Is this the
American
best
film.
American film?
Dude, that's actually such an awesome question. I love thinking about that. Yeah,
Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet's
No,
great,
this is-
but
I like this
actually-
more than
I
Blue
actually
Velvet.
might like this more than Blue Velvet, though Blue Velvet might be more influential.
Blue Velvet's not my favorite Lynch though. So
I
What's
don't.
what is your favorite?
Well, I've only seen Blue Velvet
I don't
once,
know.
so I can't say
But,
anything about it.
I mean, Blue
I
Velvet.
like Lost
being-
Highway more than Blue Velvet.
Velvet-
I like
I do
Mulholland
too.
more than Blue Velvet.
That's
I like
fair.
Blue
I
Velvet
mean,
more than Blue Velvet.
What about?
Mulholland might be my favorite Lynch.
I watched Inland Empire for the second time like 6 months
Nice.
ago.
And
Who'd you see it with the first time?
You,
and
And
Oh,
Steven,
yeah,
let's go.
and Ennis,
was Ennis there?
and Brooke.
Whoa, Brooke,
Doxed.
the girl who is
the
in
girl Brooke.
Yeah.
San Diego right now.
Brick.
Brick. Bricked up more
Brick.
like.
Brick, the
Yeah.
girl in San Diego.
Named Brick. The girl in San Diego.
Holy.
Brick.
So, how do you guys...
American makes a. Oh,
In the beginning,
Oh,
hold on, what did
Brody has a
say?
question. How do we
It
guys?
was mostly just a joke. How do you
Yeah.
guys think Kaufman made this masterpiece? But he also
In a large
made Eternal
warehouse.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. How do you
No,
think...
he's
So
true. Okay,
one
first
of
all-
the worst
first of all-
movies of
first
all
all-
great
How-
question.
Hold on.
How do you...
hold on.
How
I
is that
actually
possible?
recently learned. I recently learned through,
Your
checking
personal
on
connections.
Letterboxd. He didn't. I thought he directed Eternal Sunshine.
I knew
did
it!
not.
I fucking knew it!
He did
He
not.
just
He
wrote
did
it.
not.
I fucking knew it!
Synecdoche is his first. Is his first written and directed film. He didn't direct John Malkovich either. He just wrote it. Which
But look,
I don't know.
That's
look,
actually-
he doesn't get
that's
get a
awesome.
full pass for not directing it because he still wrote it.
It's
I mean,
a huge
it's-
pass. I wonder if was he in
It's-
charge of
It
casting?
is a substantial.
Was he in charge
it
of
is a
casting?
Yeah, the casting's awful.
Awful.
The execution's awful.
I mean, just to say, I mean, also to say, I don't. Once again, we don't.
I actually think the concept's not bankrupt. I think
We're in,
one of the most.
No,
Yeah,
the concept
we're
isn't
in-
bankrupt.
Yeah.
We're in. I think something. I think something that is okay. This is actually interesting. So I don't know if you guys have seen Being John Malkovich, but I think
Yes.
it suffers of the same problem that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind does, which is a total unlikability of the characters. Like the characters are they're so horrible. You don't identify with them. You feel like you're just watching bad people do something bad, and there's this kind of insufferable meta quality to everything. And the thing is, so what's interesting about that though, the thing that's interesting about though is that when you look at Synecdoche, New York, and you look about the difference of the characters, maybe there is a substantial difference. I mean, in writing, you could say like, Synecdoche, New York, like if he didn't direct it, he just wrote it, like still probably a way better script than Eternal Sunshine and Being John Malkovich. But the point being, his interpretation of the characters that he wrote could potentially, bring a way more humanistic, like real quality to them that isn't just this like neurotic, like black comedy thing that happens in this. There's because in I mean, I don't know. That's
dude. If he did not direct Synecdoche, New York, this movie could turn out so fucking horrible.
I mean, yeah, it could, yeah.
It is so important that the guy who had the vision directed this. Not like, I bet the script for this movie is so mid as hell. Like the script is like that is not even the point of the film whatsoever. The point is absolutely in its execution and its its pace, its choice of scenes, its casting, the editing room. Just how, like, what, him having directorial cut and say is so important for how the movie functions. You could maybe even make the argument that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has a more comprehensive, I don't know about better, but a more comprehensive script. Like this film script, if you're not the one with the vision making this film, holy shit, this is impossible to execute well.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you think about just like how much of the think about like the written word. You just take what's being said and probably what's like somewhat minimal description in a screenplay, for the screenplay of Eternal Sunshine.
Sure.
The degree to which, like, imagine that and like Synecdoche, like how much of a bridge is being made between the word on the page to the end in simply just like Kaufman having a conversation with Philip Seymour Hoffman and like being like, no, say it this way, or whatever. Like that's like that like even down to like the minutia, not even just like the I don't know, whatever, just like in like every aspect there is like you could totally just destroy a film based off of like it's like the film is not as the screenplay.
Yeah, I actually think he should get a relatively significant pass. I mean, maybe not a total pass, but a pass on Eternal Sunshine for the fact that he did not direct it. And thank God.
Sorry, go ahead.
And thank God he fucking directed Synecdoche. He almost had bitch ass Spike Jonze direct it for him.
Oh my God.
And Spike Jonze is cool.
No.
I got nothing actually against Spike Jonze.
Well,
But
they're
Spike
gonna,
Jonze
they're
would
gonna
have made
co-direct.
Skater,
Yeah, they were
They're
gonna
gonna co-direct.
But it is, I am so glad that he did not have Spike Jonze so that it could be his film, so it could be fucking Kaufman's film. He wrote it, please just direct one, please make your film, But who did Eternal Sunshine director?
It's
can we find that
person
out
I
real
don't know.
It's Michael Gondry.
Yeah, I mean, just a nobody that's gonna die into obscurity is not part of the collective
He
consciousness.
made
made the
Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Right, right. Great film. Good job, bro. You really didn't sell out. What else did he make? Anything?
Dave Chappelle's Block Party.
Is the man
And
who is
nothing
tall
else you've
happy.
ever heard of.
Yeah, this guy can kiss my ass.
Yeah, he made some ass.
Yeah, so true. Fuck
Dude,
this guy.
okay, okay, now, dude, now
I would like to
really
personally
wanna
state
watch-
that I am. The opinions of the podcast are not my own.
I take back. I'm kidding about Mr. Gondry. I just didn't like.
Wait,
Eternal
why?
Sunshine.
Why are we taking it back?
Because I don't fucking
Bad
know.
movie.
He could just be doing it for the money to support his children. He might be a nice
So
guy.
true.
on
I
the
wish
road.
I was him.
Yeah.
I wish I was
Like,
him.
Yeah,
who knows?
we all want to be him at the same time.
Yeah. I just think it's so
is
funny.
why-
to
which
shit
is
on
why,
this
of
fucking
course-
idiot.
Chimera.
Which is why, of course, that we hate him so much.
Penis and vagina.
That is, of course, why we hate him so much. Is because just like
I
anything that
envy.
we hate is it's only because we envy it, right, guys?
Yeah.
So true.
Yes.
Actually.
Right, guys?
Yes, true,
I envy
true.
Michelle Gondry.
I envy Michelle Obama.
Well, I've heard that Michelle
Want to have sex
Obama
with Barack.
is actually Michael Obama, and there's a clip you can find of her dancing that may or may not
All right.
include.
Listen to the audience. If you can find a clip
we-
of her being pregnant, we will give you money.
We will pay you $1 billion
gotta-
if you can.
I think we need to watch Kaufman's other written and directed films.
He's
Yeah.
got two.
I had zero faith in them until watching this one.
Did he direct adaptation or just write it?
He
Spike
just wrote it.
Jones.
No, we
Spike
have to watch-
Jones.
yeah,
Spike Jones
it's his
did
more
not.
recent
That's
one.
probably
Anna
why he
Melissa.
thought,
He has
yeah.
Anna
Yeah.
Melissa, and I'm Thinking of Ending Things are his other two.
I'm thinking of
Hold on, I'll be
ending
back.
things. No spoiler. Just saying. I'm
No.
just gonna say I've seen
I
it.
don't even want to hear it.
I've seen it.
Please. Okay. Please. Don't do
All
it.
right,
seen
we
it.
should do scores so we can be done by 11.
I've only seen fucking Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine and adaptation.
I thought you only
Now
seen the
this.
first 30 minutes of Eternal.
That's fair. That is correct.
So you have not actually seen it.
I have not sat through
It's
the entire
unwatchable.
thing of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is true.
But granted, I watched that on my phone in high school. I was in class in high school.
That's what the movie was made for.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot. That casting sucks. Jim Carrey, I love you a little bit, but not really. You're kind of whack.
It's pretty
Look,
whack.
I'm on the record as saying that if everyone else is not a Jim Carrey ally, I will be it.
So same, so true.
But
Yeah.
but if no one, but if other people are, then I'm his enemy.
Yes, that's
said.
unironically so true. That is
Yeah.
unironically huge true.
Yes,
Dude.
I just weaved that one together.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Tony Hawk.
Yeah, fair
Oh,
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, but let's link this.
That's like Beethoven. No.
Tony Hawk's like that. If people are his enemy, I will support him. If everyone's his ally, then you gotta dial it back. He's not that based.
All right. The way I was saying it was kind of different.
All
I don't know how it was different.
right. Can we maybe wrap it up so we're done by 11?
John needs to get back, but
John
yes.
needs to get
I
back.
know when John's back.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up by 11. Dude,
I love that. and
Gotta wrap
American
this one
makes
up before my wife gets home, guys.
so true.
American
If
makes a
only
movie.
bros.
Guys be like, is this the best? Or American makes a good movie finally.
Yeah.
Is this the best American film ever
what,
made?
you know what everyone should compare this to? American Psycho. Is this better or worse than American Psycho?
Better than American Psycho.
Synecdoche?
Yeah.
But
A lot better, right? I mean, I feel like American Psycho is like
All
pretty
right.
good.
It's just
like,
American Psycho is just an American movie that is good. You know.
I
is
love
American
American
Psycho
Psycho.
the best
I was
film
gonna
directed
read
by
that
a woman?
movie.
Christoph Waltz's stepdad was previously married to the mother of Michael Haneke.
What?
Yeah. Waltz, the guy from the German in Django Unchained.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
He's like related to Hanukkah somehow.
John
Yes.
Yeah.
Wall.
His mom married the
Ambassador.
hold on.
They don't
His
know each
mo-
other
The
though.
chief
His
general,
mom let me say this.
district attorney.
His mom married the ex-husband of the mother of Hanukkah.
Yeah, Waltz has been asked about Hanukkah and what their relationship is like, and basically
He's like, "What the fuck?"
Really, I think they get along, but they don't really know each other. Or they didn't really spend much time with each other. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Sure.
All right.
I get it.
Opening thoughts?
For me, this is the easiest 3.99 I've ever given.
Oh, you can't just give it a 4? It's
Please
not like
give
you're
it a
giving
4.
it a fucking
I
5.
did.
Chill.
I know, but
Come on.
I really like. I'll take
Look,
the.
this is back to
Look,
this thing that we never got to the bottom of, but we're understanding.
it's so fun to watch. I had a lot of fun watching it. But I can't. I just can't in my heart say that it's a must see.
You didn't feel it.
You don't think it's the most must-see American film if you don't consider historicity?
If only American films exist, it would get like a 4.5.
Really?
I'd say it's one of the best.
Well,
I'm not looking at a list, but right off the bat, it's one of the best American.
Wait,
films
time out.
ever.
If only American films exist, would any American film get a 5?
Oh, this is
You don't have to
real
give me which
undermining of
one.
the score system.
You don't have to
Yeah.
give me a 1. But
Hold
what
on,
one?
now I've been caught. Let me go back and say, even if only American films would exist, it gets a 3.99. Not actually, but
All right.
what are we
I
saying?
just thought that was fun.
It is very funny. You totally got me.
Okay.
Are you happy with yourself?
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say for yourself?
3.99.
I have my
I
own
really
score.
liked it, and I would strongly rec to someone who has seen a bunch of movies but hasn't seen this one.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Are you done with everything?
I'm done.
Case closed.
It's,
So I'm gonna, yeah, I love this movie. It's so good. It really, I had strong. I believed that the film could be good because I didn't for a long time. I kind of was like, oh yeah, that movie's pretty good. But I always had like lingering scenes, and images that I was like, wow, that really like kind of, stuck in my brain in a way that like I don't really understand what that is. But I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, watching this time around, cried many times. Really, I feel like everything that I felt the film was like trying to do and aspiring for and could aspire for, like, as I was watching it, I think it achieved. I think that, there's maybe other films that I feel more when watching. I feel are more important to me in many regards and for many different reasons. And that there is maybe some kind of certain constraints on this film because I think it is reaching for something. It's funny. I think it is reaching for something particular. That is, I think it is reaching for something particular that I think it achieves. But that maybe there's like other aspects of how one would go about communicating the same message that might be more effective for me personally. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.2. I like this movie a lot.
Holy shit.
Definitely, I think a must watch for all non-Americans. It should be like when you come into the U.S., like instead of giving you like a test or something to whatever citizenship, like green card, like this, like they should just make you watch this film in a room that's painted with that black paint that
On a
like
phone.
Yeah.
and then you walk out and then you're an American.
I do love the idea of thinking of this film as a super American film. I do like that.
A super American film.
Even if it's not the most American film that America's made, which I don't know if it is, it does feel so fucking American. I don't know.
I would say it's less American than American Psycho.
There's
There's something so juvenile about American Psycho that seems so American.
Yeah, then now we're getting into like what's.
I think I agree.
It's
think I
much
agree
less
with
American
that.
than Fight Club.
With what?
Fight Club.
You say it's much less American?
The first
Yeah.
rule about Synecdoche, New
Well,
York is
I mean, that's true. But the issue is like, isn't it much less American than a Marvel movie? Like,
Yes.
so that's the thing. Is like, the thing is like,
Marvel movies are Chinese.
great point, Brody.
Yeah.
No, but but there is something to just the, like, when I say American, I don't just mean the most ideologically American thing possible, propaganda, but I mean that it just captures something that's underneath America that is very real for Americans. And I think self-awareness through Marvel films is obvious. Like we fucking suck our dicks more than a puffer fish puff when you. Brody, you want to give the score you have?
You don't have a score?
Oh, I've got a score, but I'd like to save it for a moment.
Okay. Like any other film that is going to receive a score as high as mine that I'm about to give, it's because the film came to me at a very, very particular point in my life where it has some sort of impact on me. So, this score needs to be contextualized within the context of my life. Anyhow, such a literal me kind of movie, and I'm gonna give it a 4.7.
Wow.
Let's go. What a score.
That's awesome.
What a score.
What a
score. What a man. What an experience of a man when watching a film that he gave the score.
Man.
What an American man watching this movie gave a score to this movie. What
American Psycho gets a 4.8.
No.
Yeah, Brody's personal experience is based on what being an American is.
Yes.
It would be blasphemy to do this, but now I actually want to know what you would give American Psycho.
I would give American Psycho a 3.9 or a 4.0.
Okay.
But the
Checks out.
reason why it's so high is once again because it came to me in a very particular moment.
Just like the what's her name in Fight Club?
Marla.
Just like Marla did for the protagonist in Fight Club.
That's right.
You are literally him.
That's okay.
Sorry. Who's
Someone go.
I can go or Jared can go. Would you like me to? I will go.
Jacob.
Hello? I will go. Okay. Unless you would like to.
Steven go. Steven is now under
My score
Officially going.
My score is more than 4, less than 5.
It's bedtime for me.
I know.
So
I'm
please,
I'm not trying to draw this out. I'm trying to think of my score.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go 4.5.
All right.
Big score.
Score.
I'm going to just. I'm so. I'm gonna back that up to 4.3.
Okay.
All right. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Charles.
Sorry.
You got all excited.
Just like Caden peering into the diary of Olive during the film, we collectively, as the viewers, peer into the diary of an angsty 13-year-old boy who wrote the script. At least that's what I thought when I originally watched the movie back in 2018. If you would have asked me my score back then, I probably would have said to you, evil. All right? Evil out of 5. But times have changed. People change. I have changed. Okay? And coming back to this movie now, 5 years later, I had a new perspective. Okay? And I enjoyed it. I think it encouraged me to introspect a little bit. And it's, I don't know, touched on some things which I wouldn't have understood as an 18-year-old. I didn't understand yet when I was 18. But now I feel like I have the slightest bit more of an inkling of understanding. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that my score is, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say,
Oh my god.
I'm gonna say this is a 4.2.
Game. Oh, okay.
Okay.
4.2.
Okay.
Oh.
Great.
Some big scores.
Fuck yes.
Brody is the rare winner.
Rare winner.
What is rare winner?
Rare
Isn't
winner.
that rare? I feel like you win, and you win a good amount.
No,
Do you win less than other people?
Oh
No,
god,
Brody-
Brody's not a
Brody
huge
can-
not only am I not only do I win less than average, I am the bottom almost over half of
Oh
them.
my god.
Steven's
All right.
close behind. Jacobs
who is?
doesn't count because he's on a
You said Steven's close behind,
yeah.
and I
Close
feel like I
ahead.
win a good amount, don't I?
No, I feel like you give the that's like the most like confident. Don't I? No, I feel like you're just kidding. My perception was that Steven gives the average, leaning lower scores with the sparing but deliberate radical high.
All right. Yeah, that's
That
probably
kind of
that's,
describes Steven as a
that's
man.
probably true. Yeah, I think that's fair and accurate.
S'more, did that monologue indicate that a second viewing, a fresh take on Seventh Continent is coming soon?
Oh shit.
You might see a frame by frame analysis by yours truly.
Yeah, you're like,
No, we'll see.
point
We'll
evil.
see if the
this
Honk
plate?
Honka gets a, another viewing. But it really, honestly, it kind of, I would say out of the past 20 movies I've watched, 18 of them have been re-watches of something. And I'm getting kind of tired of that. I want to plunge into the unknown.
Watch Yee.
I would love for the next
Yeah.
pod for us to watch
How many
to
times?
plunge into the unknown and watch something new. But I'll tell you that if you recommend A Colors of Pomegranates again, I may
That's
just
true.
I'm
I may
gonna
just
go
have to
right
sit
back
this
to the
one out.
familiar. I'm gonna go.
Dude,
I'm gonna
what
watch.
the hell,
I'm gonna watch.
That
I'm gonna watch
wasn't
Blue
that
Velvet
bad.
for the 40th time.
Listen, how many times do I have to tell
Sorry.
everyone to watch Yee until someone does it?
Well, no, let's watch it. Well, maybe we watch something.
No, not for the pod. I'm just saying.
Nobody wants to watch no yes.
I watched Cure by Kurosawa.
Oh,
Did you like it?
Did we talk about that?
No, so did Brody. Brody saw it too.
Did you guys like it?
Oh, we
I want to
got
watch
big
House
takes.
That Jack built because all
Hold
you
on. Did you guys watch it at the
fuckers
same
talk
time? You
about
guys
it.
have a bad reputation
day.
for watching movies together.
Yeah, we watched it together.
Well, I only okay, but okay.
So I heard
Getting
what
a
Jacob was
server
saying.
muted.
Sorry, Jacob wants to watch.
I want to watch House That Jack built because you guys talk about it like
Oh,
every
you haven't
time we
seen
do
it.
a pod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
I'd be down.
so
I'd be down to
awesome.
House the Jack Bill sometime.
We can
Very,
watch it.
very s'more centric.
I don't think it really
S'moresian.
is, but I do think it's worth a watch, and we should all.
If there's
we
anything
can
I've
do that one, I
learned,
guess.
I cannot predict what Elsmore's take is going to be.
Man, did I
sometimes.
think Jacob was going
I
to
am-
call this
yeah,
film
we-
godless?
I'm very good at predicting what Jacob will think.
You're telling me? Are you, okay, so this is when you pull out the piece of paper that was folded in your.
You
Pocket.
would have
I'm
predicted.
I'm like 10 for 10.
You would have predicted.
I'm like 10 for 10 with
You would have
Jacob
predicted
Rex.
Jacob gives this film over a 4.
No, I would not. I wouldn't
Come on.
have
Just
for
kidding.
this. Hold on. No. I think I'm very good at being a positive predictor,
Like,
but not a negative
I
one.
see.
So, like, I'm just saying for
Yeah.
this film, I would have said no. I have no prediction. It's up in the air. But if I say he'll like it,
Oh.
I think he's gonna like it.
I got you.
And it almost begs the question if he likes it because I said he would, even
Let's,
outside of his
um,
Let's
presence.
just make it. Let's just do a test.
let's
I have to be on.
let's all write what we think everybody else's scores are going to be at the beginning of the pod,
I like
and
that.
then
That sounds fun.
and then
Yeah.
and then we add up the differential,
Oh.
and then
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever has the smallest difference has the best
Right.
finger on the pulse.
I don't know. It doesn't have to be anything like that, but just adding the differential would be fun.
Finger on the cock.
I like that it was just who's how close. Now it's gonna be the whole like. Now everyone's actually trying to win.
We won't do mean square difference.
Yeah.
When have I ever?
We'll add all of those scores up together.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Make the average.
So, Sans Seventh Continent. When have I gone against the grain super hard to give some sort of shallow, evil movie take?
Rarely,
or
but,
like the
but
opposite.
No.
You don't do it. It's not like you do it all the time at all.
No,
I just feel like I got singled out though.
No. Sorry.
Wait,
John said he
who?
could never predict my scores because he's always predicting something radically different.
Listen, sorry. No, listen. It was
John, you got to answer. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
I do have. No. It was only in reference to. No, I actually don't necessarily even feel that way. I was mostly.
He's walking it back.
It's mostly because of this movie. Because of your reaction beforehand.
Yeah,
to the
I mean,
film.
last time
Like,
you literally were like that evil ass movie. Like,
yeah, so I assumed you had watched it like more recently, and like I thought that maybe it was that combined with your like, and this is not at all to your detriment as far as like. Or like not to actually discuss the legitimacy of the films that you've called like evil or referred to as evil, but just saying that like it was like that in combination with like I feel like potential things within the film that could maybe lean itself towards like what you might have labeled as like evil or something like that, or just like something that you wouldn't be as into, and I was wrong. But yeah, that's not to say anything about. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything arbitrary about your evil takes or anything like that. I take you seriously. I know you're a thinking man, and you're legitimate.
Thank God.
Bonafide.
Hold on, I don't mean to disrupt this good moment surrounding Elsewhere and his scores, but I have devastating news.
Oh, let's fucking hear it.
I went to do some research to find some places where Elsewhere went super against the grain, and I searched on the Spotify page.
Okay.
It seems to me that Elsmore's ratings, his scores, are missing from like every single episode.
What?
It's over.
I don't know. You were on the Amore pod, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm wrong. I just went through like eight things, and I was like, wait. I knew you missed a bunch, but I was going through them like, oh, he must have missed these. But then for some reason, I thought you definitely were on the Amore pod. I guess not.
What about
I
Funny
could have
Games?
sworn. Hold on. I could have sworn you were on the Amore.
I watched Amore, and then we talked.
Oh, and then we talked about it a bunch? Okay. Anyway, on a related note,
Games?
I want to be on the record. Funny Games, he went with the grain. Or no, Funny Games, he wasn't on that pod. I want to
bitch.
I want to be on the record apologizing to Brody. Is this okay to do on the pod, or do we have to wait till we're
Wait till
done?
it's done.
Come on.
Fine. You could apologize to me. You could.
Okay, I'm gonna
Brody
do
can
so.
cut whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize to the victims of Harvey Weinstein. Cut that out, please.
Do you think Harvey Weinstein should be raped? Keep that in.
keep that in. It's just a question.
keep me in. Saying,
I'm just asking the question.
Do you think he should be raped? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right way to prosecute people. I think he should. I think he should
prosecute. Hold on, prosecution by rape.
Prostitute.
Not even punishment. That's how you find out
persecute.
if they're guilty or not.
You should rape persecution.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry. I want to apologize to Harvey Weinstein and all of his and all of his family and his deep bloodline. Fuck Harvey Weinstein, fat son of a bitch.
All right, well, that's all I got. It's like 2 a.m. for John. Oh, I dox your Asian location.
No, it's like
But also, Asia is like 12 hours ahead.
Yeah, we're going to bed, guys. And John's about to go out for lunch.
John's going to work.
Are you gonna get another bowl of fresh pho? Because you
I'm so
live in the place where pho is from?
Yeah, where?
Is that Vietnam or is that Korea?
Yeah, it's Vietnam.
Vietnam?
No, it's
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Thought so.
Not so. All right, guys, we gotta
All right.
close
gotta
this
wrap
unless
this
somebody
one up.
else has
Yeah.
something else that our editor will have to.
Does anyone want to announce anything? Anybody has a special announcement?
Oh yeah, special announcement next pod. The
I'm
film we're
moving
watching
and
is going to
getting
be.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what'd you say, Troy?
I just said I'm moving and getting married.
Oh my god, you want to drop that on the podcast right now?
Yeah.
Already cut that. We're not.
Done.
We're not telling them that right now.
Sorry,
So you're,
what were you
you're
saying,
telling me
Jacob?
you're moving from your current address of.
Yeah. How about
To now.
an actual announcement? Does anybody have the YouTube page pulled up, and do they know
Yes.
if did anybody on our last YouTube video comment anything?
Oh
No.
Do we need to?
No, they have
I
not.
would love to shout them out.
They have not.
Have there
That's
been any
embarrassing.
comments since we
Yeah.
thanked
anyone is
Henry
listening-
Gualtieri?
Yeah, Henry. If anyone is listening, if you comment, we will shout you out and maybe even discuss your comment.
Yeah,
We
if you
easily,
if
if
you
you give us a comment, we will discuss it, and not only that, I'll tell you this: we will send you merchandise. That's a
Big time,
promise.
Big time.
every
Comment your address below.
every word in your comment will be an additional at least 5 seconds we'll give to discussing your comment.
Yeah.
So true.
So
We'll
the
look at
longer
technology.
your comment, the more words there are there, the longer it's going to take for us to read it out loud.
Limited edition, cinematographically speaking, T-shirt with all of our social security numbers, faces, and addresses on it.
Anal beads.
Anal beads with our names on them.
Yeah. Of our faces.
Who's
Yes.
the furthest down the line?
Which,
Who's
the
first in?
Who's first? Once more unto the breach.
All right, guys.
I mean, obviously
Sitcom
Troy's
small
first
bead.
in,
Obviously, Troy's first.
and he would have the biggest head too, right? Isn't the
Alright,
first one the
guys.
biggest,
guys.
or is
No,
that
that would
last one?
that would be.
the last one? Oh.
I believe that
They
would be
saved
the
the
last.
best for
one.
last.
Wait, no. Legit question at Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any comments since Henrique? Anything?
Post
Anything.
Post Henrique.
Anything?
The answer I know.
That's fine. if
I
you
know
don't
the
that's
answer that
okay.
you want to be yes, but the answer is no.
Fuck. All right.
All right,
That's
we
it.
got- That's it.
That's
We're
it.
out. All right.
All right.